built a tower made of paper and lies, stacked it high with the liar's disguise. But the wind's picking up, gonna blow it all down. A reckoning's coming to this hollow town. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do. They sold our steel, they stole our land, turned the worker into a begging hand. But the wheels are turning, the fire's alive. We're taking back what's rightfully mine. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do. Ghosts of the past whisper through the trees. Swamp runs deep, but it's begging to freeze. Freedom ain't given, it's a fight to the bone. Stand your ground or be overthrown. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do. Our work to do. Ghosts of the past whisper through the trees. Swamp runs deep, but it's begging to freeze. Freedom ain't given, it's a fight to the bone. Stand your ground or be overthrown. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Hey everybody, how you doing, Rich?
I'm good. It's a good week. We're gonna have a really good show. We got a lot of stuff to go over. How about you? How's your week?
Well, you're right. We got a heck of a lot happening this week. I've had a lot happening. Boy, there's just a lot happening everywhere.
I know. I say
Now, I
God
must
bless
have.
Trump. He creates a lot of news, man.
Oh yeah.
So
Sorry about that, guys.
you gonna live?
It'll be better. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'm not dying.
All right.
No more quickly than usual.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. A little drink of water. There we go.
How's everybody doing? Hey, what's up, Weak Greatness? I haven't seen you in a while, man. See you. What's up, Streaky?
Yeah.
What's going on? Hey,
Hi,
Chris,
everybody.
how you doing? Oh, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I got to come up with another one because I keep playing the same one. I said this last week. I have a song. I just haven't had the time to create a new one. Hey, Chris, brother, what's up? Good, man. Yeah, we can bring you in later if you want to come in. Good evening. What's up, Pam? What's up, girlfriend? Who else is here? Not Jimmy from Philly. Jimmy from Philly in the house. All right. Let's see. So let's start to take a look at everything we're going to talk about tonight.
Well, there's certainly enough happening.
Well, there's enough going on. Let's see. Here we go. Let's start at the top. So Trump crushes inflation. Biggest drop in consumer prices in half a decade. and it's like he said, hold my beer, you know, and he doesn't drink. He doesn't even drink. Hold my fake beer. Hold my milk. You know, it's like what he said, you know, and I'm sure Joe Biden doesn't even know it because he's just sitting there watching reruns of MacGyver or Matlock with a handful of grapes. You know,
No, he's out there. He's out there on the Delaware beach.
yeah, I don't think he knows it, though. Then we have Chinese official avows Beijing is behind cyber attacks on the U.S. Identifies the motive. Okay. So you're admitting to committing international crimes. All right, great. RFK Jr. says food companies have 2 years to remove those artificial dyes, which at first is like, why you got to wait so long? Well, because it does take time. They got to come up with something to replace it, right? They got to work at getting it the hell out of there, right?
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why do we need to replace artificial dyes?
Well, you got to replace it with like natural stuff.
Why do you need to replace it? Why do you need to replace it? Explain to me.
I don't know. Actually, I wouldn't eat like cherries that were green. You know, I wouldn't. Hey, what's up, Sheila? How you doing, girlfriend?
You'd get used to it.
Yeah, probably. Talk to our Canadian friends. Are you guys used to it? Because they have like healthier stuff up there.
Do you remember?
And we do.
Years ago, pistachios, and they used to come with this really nasty red dye.
Yeah,
remember
Pam's
that?
right. I'm sorry, Pam's right because of autism and ADHD. Now, say that again. I'm sorry.
Do you remember when pistachio nuts used to come in the shell? They would come with a really nasty red dye that your fingers would be like red for 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And at some point, I don't even remember when, but somebody said, you know, that red dye is no good for you. Suddenly, pistachios started coming in the kind of greenish brown.
Yeah.
They taste just as good. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. What's wrong with me?
Well, more the global royal you that needs.
Well, you know where they say, do you know where, what is it? No, that's not it. The pistachio. Forget it.
No, but all it is
Special K,
food. The food companies decided that people would buy this product over that product if it looked more colorful.
Yeah.
And that's why we got dyes.
Well, yeah.
And it shouldn't take that long to replace them. Red dyes.
Well,
look to cranberries.
RFK Jr. has been waiting his entire adult life for this moment. Okay?
Yeah.
So if he's waiting 2 years, I have to trust that it's something legitimate. Look at me actually praising someone from the dynasty of the Kennedy family.
Yeah, but he's been, disowned and evicted, and
he just said there is organic food dyes.
Yeah, this is what I was just saying.
So why not replace them with that?
Yeah, red, use cranberry.
Right.
Very simple. Cranberry's a heck of a dye.
They use strawberry.
In fact,
Canada.
Did you know in medieval times they used to make a cranberry juice dye for clothing?
Okay.
They dye material.
I believe you. All right.
I was very young during the medieval times, so I don't remember very clearly.
All right. So next, President Trump orders the DOJ investigation into the law firm representing Dominion voting systems in 2020 election defamation cases.
Yay!
That's a big one.
Go get 'em.
China threatens the free world with the ghost of murderer Mao Zedong. Where do you hear that one? Right. Tulsi Gabbard confirms we now have evidence on how electronic voting systems are manipulating votes in elections. And I want to know how many Democrats are going to be removed from their seats because of this.
None.
China, what's that?
None.
Yeah. how China has amped up its factories and is threatening to crush U.S. industry with a new tsunami of cheap products. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, China's doing everything they possibly can. They're going to lose. They're going to lose this, and we'll get into that later. Why? I believe they're going to lose, and they're going to lose big time, to the point where they're acting like children now, and I think they're going to lose to the point where they may try to do some warfare. It's not going to be kinetic. It's not going to be nuclear. I think it'll be biological. I think they're going to do it again. And we just had the WHO send out all kinds of crap, talking about maybe another pandemic of the bird flu. Double barrel give them. Report reveals 55% of leftists justify assassinating Donald Trump. That's where we're at. Musk is at 48%. And, Elon has to step it up, I think. He's really behind Trump.
He's not pissing people off enough, evidently.
I know. He's not doing his job, man. But seriously, this is where we're at now, guys. The friggin' leftists, they justify killing the president of the United States. That's just, I'm sorry, that's just cuckoo birds.
Yeah, but that's in the name of democracy.
Yeah, I know. We don't even live in a democracy. But, and a whole bunch of other crap. So, let's see. A biolab in Ethiopia. Yeah. Deep state funding. They got 8 of them inside Ukraine? Biolabs? They got 8 of them. China said that by 2030 they would have 60.
Last I heard, they had one in California that was run by Chinese.
Probably. Hey, what's up,
Commander?
Yeah, probably. Do you know that they bought a naval shipyard back during Clinton? Clinton approved the sale of a naval shipyard. And he's like, there's nothing in there. Yeah, but the fucking optics, moron. The optics. You're letting the Communist Liberation Chinese Army, because that's who bought it. Unbelievable.
I don't know why, but that reminded me of a scene on one of the Star Trek movies where they beamed down to 20th century Earth, and they needed to power something
where you
up.
Parked? Yeah, I remember that.
But they had to power something up for their for the Enterprise.
They needed the nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and Chekhov's going around.
Yeah.
Can you tell how to get to the
nuclear weapons?
To go to the ship. Yeah. Nuclear ship.
Nuclear
weapons.
Yeah,
nuclear vessels. Weapons. Nuclear vessels.
That was nuclear vessels. That was it.
Vessels. Yeah, nuclear vessels.
Yeah. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Start in, man. Where do you want to start?
All right. At the top. Here we go. So Trump crushes inflation. Biggest drop in consumer prices in half a decade. Come on. Come up. There we go. All right. This is how the National Pulse is doing it now. Pulse Points. Is the article actually there? Yeah. All right. Pulse Points are what happened. The Consumer Price Index for March showed a decrease of 0.1% month over month, leading to a year-over-year increase of 2.4% below expectations. Core CPI also reported lower than anticipated figures, rising only 0.1% month over month. Who's involved? The report, used by economic policymakers, notably involves Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell as part of their assessment for monetary policy adjustments. When and where? The data pertains to the United States, specifically for March. Well, where else would it? As reported today. Keynote. Just out, inflation is down, President Trump on Truth Social. Right. The Consumer Price Index had a decline, indicating inflation continues to subside. And people are going, it's only 0.1%. Yeah, but under warm diarrhea brain, it was rising still. Remember, it's transitory. Remember when she kept saying it's transitory, and it wasn't transitory. Notably, this suggests that the tariffs imposed by Donald Trump in February and March, ahead of his Liberation Day tariffs imposed on April 2nd, caused little, if any, inflationary pressure. Remember, they kept saying, we're going to have inflation. It's going to be awful. And the people most affected are going to be what? They go down the black people, Hispanic people, women, and trans. They go down the list, the same list for everything. According to the data, the headline CPI fell by 0.1% month over month, diverging from the anticipated 0.1% increase. Over the past year, the CPI rose by 2.4. Yeah, because he's only been in for a few months, slightly below the predicted 2.5% gain and the lowest year-over-year increase since. All right, so what are we saying? That inflation is down because we finally have people in an administration that know what the hell they're doing. All right. Any questions? Anyone?
Yeah, my question.
Vodka.
My question is
Yeah. Da.
presuming the Democrats hold on to their far left social agenda and
The hell's
and the economy starts, flaring favorably,
right?
how are they going to do in the midterms?
Why are we like this? What's up with that? I'm listening to you, but why are we small? There we go. But then I wanted to go back to this, and it still has a. What the hell? Huh. I'm playing around. Look at that. That's really strange. Let's see what we got. Oh, now I lost her. There you are. Ah, there we go. That's it right there. Before it used to, they shifted them around. Sorry, guys. I'm having technical issues. The problem is
I'm getting dizzy.
Keyboard in my chair. What?
I'm getting dizzy being bounced around like
Yeah,
that.
I hear you. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, he's talking to Sheila. Okay.
But anyway, yeah, it couldn't happen to a nicer group of people that they get curb stomped in the next in 2026 and then again in 2028.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we just have to keep having Trump do what he's doing, and we have to have people that can explain to the libnuts why what he's doing is good for them.
Yeah, no, and we need one other thing. We need to keep goading the leftists.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And explain to me who is the very best at doing that?
Oh, Donald
Who is
Trump,
the
actually.
goat?
Yeah.
The goat of
Would be our
trolling the
president.
left?
Yeah, that would be our president.
That would be our president.
He just has to wet his finger and hold it up in the air, and they go nuts. They lose their ever-loving minds. Yeah.
Well,
all right.
I told you this before. He could say oxygen's good, and they would all stop breathing.
Oh yeah, he could say he cured cancer, and they would cheer for cancer.
I'm thinking maybe he should say that. Maybe if they stop breathing, maybe I'm onto something.
That would be interesting. Now, to the YouTube overlords, no, we're not saying that we want liberals to stop breathing. At least not all of them. Just very few. Jamie Raskin.
It's a figure
Ilhan
of speech.
Omar.
We wish no ill upon any individual or any group.
There he is. The myth, the man, the legend. Bobbity, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Hope all is well. mRNA tech will cure cancer. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got a story. Well, I had a story, but I thought, I better pull it because it was about there was major study done showing that the jab was causing a lot of people to die. It was, just one of those, but I can't say it because the WTO did not confirm this yet. And this platform does not like anything the WTO did not confirm. So you guys get it, right? We're like a prisoner of war here.
And just between you and me, Rich, of course, we always follow YouTube requirements and recommendations to the letter.
We
every
try
day.
So hard.
Always.
This is why I stopped cursing 99%.
It might burn my ass, but we follow them.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so next one. I have to launch it first, don't I? Yeah. See, someday I'll get used to this. So, Blaze Media. Chinese official avows Beijing is behind the cyber attacks on the U.S. Identifies motive. So, in other words, they're admitting that they broke international law. So, the communist regime apparently winked at its role in undermining America. And they want us to continue to allow them to rip us off with trade, right? And you can thank the Democrats and the frickin' rhinos, the establishment types, for that. They were so heavy into trying to get to the Chinese market, and then they realized the Chinese market ain't crap. And they're I was saying earlier, they're going to lose this tariff thing. And the reason why we were talking about it backstage, Jade and I, is their real estate market is in serious trouble. Think 2008, right? It's in serious trouble, worse than ours was, and ours was caused by Democrats. Don't let anybody tell you differently. 30 years of a housing scam, but they're going to lose because the way that their economy is right now, with the way that they devalued their dollar, I'm talking going back 20 years, they devalued their dollar, the yuan or whatever they call it. They devalued that. They built all those cities that no one lives in because they had to come up with a way to feed people. So they just went and did it, right? They created out of thin air, but we do the same thing, unfortunately, with our Federal Reserve. But the thing is, we produce shit. You know, we actually produce things, we invent things. They just produce crap that they send to us, right? Most countries do not buy the crap stuff that we do from China. They just don't. They buy necessity stuff. They don't buy like I don't know, a Taylor Swift doll. You know, like our dumbasses over here buy that stuff. They don't most places, which is why we're going to win, because the only thing that's keeping them afloat, their economy right now, is all of us buying their cheap shit. And so if they want to increase the prices to, like we did, what, 134% or something, 125%, I forget. Well, they increased theirs to the same amount, and they said, we're not going to increase it anymore. So then Trump should say, fine, then I'm going to increase it more on you and see if you keep your word, right?
Kevin O'Leary says it should be 400%.
What, on them or us?
No, we should put tariffs on them.
Oh, yeah, because we got to break them now.
He said 400%.
Yeah, well, right
now,
now,
in terms of the real estate market, I'm sure you're aware. Just to bring everybody to speed in case people haven't followed this. The interesting thing about China and their real estate is that Chinese citizens do not have faith in the stock market. So the average Chinese citizen does not have and does not want to get into the stock market. They trust real estate.
right.
And the problem with that is that people now, for quite a few years, they invest in real estate by buying an apartment in a building that's not built yet.
Right. Well, you've seen all those buildings that were demolitioned.
Yeah, well, no, but let me finish. So I guess there's somehow you get in and it's like kind of on, if we were doing that, we would call it getting in on the ground floor, except in their case, the contractors are defaulting now.
Well, yeah, because the reason why is because the government is, see, everything over there, if you want to build anything, you have to buy the land. Well, you have to pay the government for the land first, okay? And then you get to build. So we had all these guys that built these buildings, that some were apartments, some were office buildings and whatnot. And then the government stepped in and started charging them taxes for more things because they needed money. So they go, why not? You know, they're rich. They got money, right? And so they couldn't afford it. And so what happened? They said, okay, we can't pay it, so we'll just let the building sit until you take that away. And the government said, well, you know what? We're going to charge you this tax anyway just for being there. They went, fine. Boom. They blew them all up.
So all the people who invested in real estate, guess what?
Yep.
They got nothing.
They just knocked them down because they were going to lose money in the end. And so now,
they got nothing.
And then you had that Evergreen. What was it? Evergreen, I think it was called. It was their number one real estate house over there. It collapsed a couple years back.
Yeah.
And
I know what you're talking about.
They've been in trouble.
Know.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly Evergreen, but I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name. Maybe it's Evergreen. It's something like Evergreen. If it's not Evergreen, it's something like it.
Evergrande. G-R-A-N-D. Yeah, it's Evergrande.
Okay.
Evergrande Group. Once major Chinese property developer collapsed due to excessive borrowing and a liquidity crisis. Yep. And so they've been in trouble ever since. Hey, what's up, Bass? What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. And hey, Ludwig, if I didn't say hi, sorry. How you doing, Ludwig? Good to see you, man. What you call it? Yeah, thank you, Special K. What you call it? It turns out that right now we are their saving grace. And the Chinese, this guy, he just doesn't, he thought with his Belt and Road Initiative, which the Panama Canal people, Panama, they said, we're off the Belt and Road. And they just did a thing where they said, okay, we are now secure with the United States. We want all of China out of here and don't come back. So they're going to start to get pissed because everything they worked for, which like Democrats, every program they put out, it was a miserable failure, and they had to work harder at covering up that fact, like the Soviets did. You know, I think it was who was it Brezhnev? I forget who it was, but he slammed a report down in the middle of like a cabinet meeting and said, you know, this is horseshit. We know that we lost to the U.S. The big question is, how do we cover it up? Because they were all we're doing 100 times better than the U.S. in this. And he said, bullshit. How do we cover up this fact? That's what and they switched to that. Same thing's going on in China right now. They don't want anybody to know that they are so fragile right now, their economy. And yet he's got the balls to fight back. He's the only one, by the way, so far. I mean, the other day there were like 50 countries. I think it's up to like 75 now.
It's up over 75 the last count.
All right. Yeah, they're all acquiescent, saying, you know what? He's not lying. And if you watch my video today, guys, I have she's the von der Leyen or von der Leyen, whatever her name is. She Ursula, she's the head of the EU, the whatever commission. I can't remember what it was, but she's coming out acting. Yeah, von der Leyen. Well, she pronounces it lion, but like I'm lying to you. Yeah, because I went in and I actually when I don't know how to pronounce someone's name when I'm doing like a regular video, I literally go out and find out how the hell do you pronounce that, and then I phonetically spell it in my script. That's what I do. A little inside baseball there. But yeah, what's called it? So she was there acting like Europe is the victim of this. And it's like, no, bitch, you guys bullied the United States for years by well, first of all, you didn't pay for your own security, right? With NATO, you didn't pay for that. We did. We paid the majority of it. And then
they whined and squealed when we asked them to, keep up with the whatever they were, 1 or 1.5 or 2% of GDP, and they whined and squealed.
I know, and they're saying she's saying, oh, this is going to cause all kinds of hardships, and she went straight down the libnut talking points. It's going to cause hardships, black people and women and children harmed the first. It's kind of the way she was talking. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, nobody's buying this crap. You people robbed us for years, and Trump's saying no more. And you got to love them.
When you listen to these people, you have to have in front of you the victim points matrix so you can figure out.
I know. So let me continue. A pair of anonymous sources said to be familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal that Chinese officials met with elements of the outgoing Biden administration during a December summit in Geneva that was led by Nate Fick. Well, Fick you, the State Department's then ambassador at large for cyberspace and digital policy, whereas previously China has played off Volt Typhoon, its hacker outfit tasked with espionage and information gathering, which are the same thing, as a criminal crew of rogue hackers or the product of Western fantasy. The Chinese delegation apparently acknowledged that it was indeed a state-backed enterprise. According to Microsoft, Volt Typhoon has pursued development of capabilities that could disrupt critical communications infrastructure between the United States and Asia region during future crises. I think they hacked that ship in Baltimore that hit the bridge. I think they did that. And I think they got all the information on how to do it by using those Chinese police stations in the United States, where they threatened the dissidents that want to become citizens here. They threaten them with, you lift up the laptop. That's your grandmother. We're going to kill her if you don't do what I ask you to do. And I think that's where they got all their info. So Trump is going around now. If you haven't heard him, he's going around now basically saying, look, China, you stole from us. You forced technology transfers, because that's what they called it. Forced technology transfer. Like they would build a market up. Like a perfect example is they created a big market in Europe for solar panels, right? So then they told the European countries, look, if you want to get in and manufacture the parts that we need to have this market run, you can do that. However, you're going to give us the entire blueprint of everything that you have software-wise. You're going to hand it over to us. Oh, you don't want to do that? Well, then you're out of the market and you're going to lose. That's what they were doing. They were stealing shit. I mean, Bill Gates for over 10 years had China in the world court because an office building over there with like 1,000 people working there, they would buy one copy of Microsoft Office and crack it and then put it on everybody's, and they didn't care. They didn't care. And these are the same people that about 10 or 15 years after that whole thing, that debacle, were saying, "Oh, we got to bring them into the market. We got to give them, favored nation status," and that's what Clinton gave them. And later on, we found out he got a payoff because it was from the Chinese Liberation Army. They gave him a boatload of money, and so he had to pay them back. This is what they do.
This is my shocked face.
Yeah,
Clinton's getting paid off. Yeah, I mean they do this. If a popular musician releases a CD, before it hits the shelves in the United States,
right.
They have a copy of it, and they've already sold 100,000 copies. And while it's the same day, it's being offloaded the truck in the record stores. They've sold 100 million copies online.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah,
or 100,000. I don't. No, they do because soon as it's available, like as soon as it's printed, they don't even wait for it to hit the store. They got somebody in all of these music houses.
Well, there was this. I was listening to a podcast. It's Darknet Diaries, and if you guys like hearing about the dark web and all the crazy hacker crimes and whatnot, and he has white hats on as well, but you should subscribe. It's a free podcast. You can Jack Resider is the host. He's been doing it for a number of years, and he's really good. And he did one where there was this music that was I can't remember the name of it, but it was garbage music. But everybody I have something in my eye that won't go the hell away. So it was garbage music. I was like, what are you kidding me? And going to be treated. Yeah, we may be treated to a Dr. Jade moment tonight. Yes, you're right, Sheila. We might. So stay tuned. Wow, we have a new. I was going to start a new segment tonight called Lost Video Clips. But I couldn't get a song fast enough together to do the intro, so we'll do it next week because the first one that we're going to play is hilarious. It's actually pretty hilarious. But
I've already seen it. That's a teaser.
Yeah. And I notified the party inside the video earlier today that I was going to do it. But that's okay. But anyway.
Keep your kids out of the room though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every other word.
Keep the children out of the room.
Yeah, let's do RFK now. Ready? RFK says food companies have 2 years to remove artificial dyes. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. disclosed details about his closed-door meeting with food company executives. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said in a new interview that he has given food company executives 2 years to remove Red 40 and other artificial dye. What about red dye number 3? That's like the worst one. And other artificial dyes from their products. Quote, they said it's going to take us a while. For example, the CEO of Pepsi, which owns Doritos, said the consumers like them to be very red. How's that our problem? And we have not yet found a vegetable dye that we can match, but we're going to do it. Of course you are. Because it'll just make life miserable for you because you're fucking poisoning the rest of us. And I said...
They made Pepsi Clear. Do you remember Pepsi Clear?
Yeah, they still have it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, free and clear, they call it.
And to the population of the world that enjoys Pepsi, I say, enjoy Pepsi and get over it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I'm tired of hearing about. Cause it's like I don't want to get into the meds of it because you're the doctor, but everybody has a remodeling system in your body. It's part of your immune system, right? And the remodeling system, what it does is the way they explain it is it's you, but not you. All right. So you see something on your hand and go, oh, shit, that's not supposed to be. Well, your remodeling system does that as well. And it goes, whoa, that's not supposed to be there. And it goes to fix it. But with modern day, with the food that we eat, with the shampoo, the cologne, the deodorant, all that crap has so many chemicals in it, and the stuff that we breathe, the stuff that we wear, there's so many chemicals in this stuff that it knocked there. It suppressed your remodeling. All right. So I'm reading a book now on it's high dose D3 vitamin C and iodine, and what it does, what according to these doctors and about 1,000 or more studies that he points to, it gets your remodeling system back into work. And remodeling system still needs a building permit. That's true. In California, your remodeling system does need a building permit. Yeah, he's right. But yeah, and so part of what RFK Jr. is doing is he understands that all these chemicals that are allowed inside, and you know why they were allowed? Because of money, 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 money. Justin Bieber, money, 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 money. So show at 19 minutes now. Listening, Jimmy from Philly's texting me. So what he's trying to do is get rid of that. And hold on. My first school reunion, 18 years since I've seen these folks. Hearing their voices. Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah. So anyway, he's trying to get rid of all the crap that we have to deal with because of these companies trying to make shit tons of money to save a few bucks, so they use chemicals instead of the real deal, natural organics.
Yeah. Well, it's even more basic than that. It's purely appealing to what would be the word? Basically, they said consumers like it. It's pretty when it's red like this, so we'll make it more red, and it'll be prettier, and they'll like it better. And somehow, people in general bought into that. Oh, this is so pretty, and that's the crow in us. It's like, oh, shiny, shiny, shiny object. Look at that. It's still Pepsi.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of people, they're saying, like, I watched another podcast, and they said it's going to taste exactly the same when you take the dyes out. You just might not like the way it looks, but you will in time.
Yeah.
And I agree. Yeah. I don't really care. As long as I'm not sick anymore, as long as my grandkids don't get sick off this crap.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You're putting this in, and it's not just, does it look better a little bit redder? We've made it redder to make it look better, but is that red dye doing something to you?
Yeah, it is. That's why he wants to get rid of it.
And
we made it to make it look more appealing because they found out that if it looks red, it's supposed to be like that cherry on top of a sundae.
Yeah.
That thing will give you cancer.
Well, at the best you can say is we don't know. The best you could say, what we know for sure is that A, it doesn't have to be there, and B, that we don't know if it's doing anything bad, and we think it may be. And so why are we putting it? I mean, any logical person, I say, okay, you put this on your kids' food, and they're going to like it better, but we think this might cause cancer in 20 or 30 years. I don't think that any parent would do that, and yet somehow they're doing it with our dyes and artificial dyes and flavorings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we're done that one. We talked that one to death. Let's do the next one.
Was it on?
Ah, here we go. This is a good one. This is about Dominion.
Oh, you want to do the Dominion one?
Oh, yeah. President Trump orders DOJ investigation into a law firm representing Dominion in 2020 election defamation cases. This is going to... President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed a sweeping executive order. How is it sweeping? Executive order launching a federal investigation and crackdown on the law firm Sussman Godfrey LLP, the legal powerhouse behind Dominion Voting Systems' highly publicized 2020 election defamation lawsuits, including its $787 million settlement from Fox News. The firm is also pursuing defamation cases against other Trump allies, including Rudy Giuliani and Mike Lindell. The new directive orders the Department of Justice, the Office of Management and Budget, and intelligence agencies to immediately initiate a full-scale investigation into Sussman Godfrey, citing a pattern of egregious conduct, racial discrimination, and weaponization of the legal system. Gee, you think? Against political opponents and the American public.
Sir, you've taken action against a number of law firms that have in one way or another been involved in the weaponization of government or actions of lawfare. One of those law firms is Sussman Godfrey, similar to what we've done previously with other law firms. This is an executive order that takes certain measures against Sussman Godfrey to ensure that they can't access government resources, government buildings, scrutinizing certain aspects of their practices as a law firm, given their previous activities.
We signed with many law firms, the ones that we thought were inappropriate, and they've all agreed to pay $1 million. They went for some pretty big numbers. I guess we have a total. What do we have? What's the total about? What's the total right now, Steve? About, would you say?
Getting close to probably 600-700 million now, I would think. We've multiple at 100 million, some at 125 million.
It's all lawfare they're talking about.
So the numbers are adding up. We're going to be close to $1 billion soon.
One at $40 million, millions of dollars an hour. But they don't admit guilt. Remember that, they don't admit guilt. But then we have another 5 to go, I think, 5 of them.
Yes.
And this one is we're just starting a process with this one.
Yes, sir.
You think about all the crap that a lot of these agencies and corporations and whatnot got away with under the last administration and under Obama. A lot of crap they did, and they got away with it. And so now they're thinking like, well, why is the government coming after us? It was them that, not this government.
Because there were some very bad things that happened with these law firms.
And this firm is very involved in the election misconduct.
Weren't they all involved in the election misconduct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just unreal. What next? Yeah, I don't like that. It goes to the wrong one every single time now when I close it out. All right. Let's see. China. Another China. So it's China threatens the free world with the ghost of murderer Mao Zedong. And there he is, that little shit. China's increasingly shrill and desperate efforts to prove itself tough and fearless against President Donald Trump's tariffs hit a new low on Tuesday when Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning decided to post old footage of Mao Zedong, the founder of the Chinese Communist Party and the worst mass murderer in history. And think about it. That's only his own people that he murdered, that he became infamous for. He's not talking about the other people that he murdered. So no sane person on earth outside of the communist elite thinks Mao is an admirable model of leadership. Germany might as well have run some old footage of Hitler to declare its opposition to Trump's tariffs. Let's see that. We are not the ones who decide. Hold on. Look at that hair. Let me tell you something. Every one of those jackasses is clapping because they're terrified if they don't. Of course, Chinese communist apparatchiks are not taught to be ashamed of Mao's mountain of corpses or his economic policies, which inadvertently starved almost as many people as Mao killed on purpose. Yeah, they starved a lot of people. They said, your policies are causing about 1 million people a year to die of starvation. He said, good, increase it. Mao's deadly great leap forward. They, like all liberals, they misname things to sound flowery, but it's always the opposite. Began about 5 years after he gave the speech posted by Mao Ning. The Chinese leader established a system of communal agriculture and rigid ideological conformity that comprehensively failed to feed the swelling post-war Chinese population. Remember all those, or they were Mao. What did they call them when they had to confess? What was the word, Jade? I forget what it was when they had to confess and they were like smacked around. I forget what they called it. It was
Not sure what you're referring to.
Well, what they would do is they would grab like people on the street that were communists and that worked for the Communist Party. They would grab someone that was a dissident and they would put them up on the stage and start beating them on the stage and make them confess. They would only stop struggle session. Thank you, Chris. And good to see you, Chris. Thank you. They were called struggle sessions.
Okay. Now I know what you mean. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, and he's the guy that was behind all that as well. And it's like I see these young bucks out there, and they talk about oh, you didn't tell me. I didn't view. Okay, they talk about how they wear a Che Guevara shirt, right, or Che hat or something like that. You know, because they were taught in public schools that Che was a freedom fighter. No, he's a fucking murderer. He was personally responsible for like 450 murders that he killed people. And it's just unbelievable how stupid the left is that they will wear all this crap.
Yeah, and they sit in Starbucks.
Yeah.
With their $10 latte.
Yeah.
And their $4,500 Apple laptop.
Right, and they bitch about Trump trying to make it better for the working man.
Yeah, and they're admirers of Che Guevara.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, here we go. Tulsi Gabbard confirms we now have evidence of the electronic voting systems. There we go. 100% fed up. Tulsi Gabbard said her team found proof that electronic voting machines are vulnerable to hacking. Yeah, well, you know, at least she made it official because we knew this shit for a long time. In fact, I was wearing a shirt with the password. Their national. It was like a national password to all the databases. I was wearing a shirt that had it on there. But Tulsi Gabbard says her team found as vulnerable to hacking. She's calling for a nationwide return to paper ballots to safeguard election integrity. The Democrats will howl and bark at the moon for that. There's no way. That's why they want another pandemic, so they can win the next election. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The revelation has triggered new investigations into voting system security. Election officials are now under pressure to respond. It's not the voting system that I don't trust. It's the Democrats that abuse the voting system. That's what I don't trust. I mean, they use voting systems down in Florida, and they get their shit done election night. They know who won and who lost by the end of election day. It's very simple.
Who was it that said it was? I think it was one of Putin's people. No, it was some Soviet anyway. He said, help me out, people. He said, it doesn't matter who votes. It matters who counts the votes.
Oh, Leanne. Yeah. Wasn't that Stalin? I think it was Stalin or Lenin. Yeah, Leanne.
It was one of the Soviets.
We are so sorry for you, dear. Guys, come on, give it up. She's in New Jersey. She's from Alabama. She's in New Jersey right now. My God.
The garbage state.
God, what's happened to you? What's that?
The garbage state.
Yeah, the garbage state. Yeah, we can smell it from here. Yeah, but no, she's actually in. She's in a nice section. What are you in, Cape May right now, Leanne? I guess she's not watching. All
right. We used to go to Cape May when I was very young with my parents. We'd go every summer for a couple of weeks.
Oh, really? That's a trip for you. That's a 2-hour drive for me.
That was our summer vacation down from Montreal.
Okay, yeah.
Cape May, Sea Isle City. I still remember it.
Look at this. I love these guys. You guys are the best. Thoughts and prayers, Miss Leanne. Oh, man. All right, so here we go. Election officials are now under pressure to respond. Looks like millions of conspiracy theorists are about to be vindicated. So it says it's via Grok. Tulsi Gabbard, a former member of the U.S. House of Representatives, has announced that her office has uncovered evidence indicating that electronic voting systems are vulnerable to hacking and exploitation, which could potentially allow for the manipulation of election results. You think?
You think?
Yeah. And they said, well, the voting machines, they don't have access to the internet. Like hell, they don't. Yes, they do. How else did China and all those other countries in Mike Lindell's movie get those data points in? This revelation has sparked a renewed push for the implementation of paper ballots nationwide to enhance the integrity of elections. Investigations are currently underway to further assess the security of these voting systems and to address the concerns raised by Gabbard's findings. This story is a summary of I don't want to read that. Looks like the jig is up. Won't be long now. Let's see what she has.
The very dangerous and negative consequences of that. I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this.
Good.
Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time, and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
Yeah, exactly. Another angle to see some of those at the table.
I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after
Why
this.
did they do that? That's pretty stupid. So it was a guest post, actually. So I can't wait to hear all the stuff they came up with, because then I'll bring Mark back on. I'll bring him on because he's actually involved still in some things that have to do with one of the machines, the Dominion machines that they got their hands on. So that'd be interesting. I wonder if they're going to call him. They might. Who knows? But let's see, what's the next one? Yeah, China. They're trying to amp up their crap. Let's see. It says China has amped up its factories and is threatening to crush the U.S. industry with a new tsunami of cheap crap. Here we go. $1.9 trillion tsunami is headed for American industry, and it's coming from China. The communist country of 1.3 billion people has shifted that much cash into amping up its factories in just 4 years in an effort to overwhelm manufacturers around the world with an influx of cheap goods. President Trump's 125% tariff on all Chinese imports into the U.S., which he announced on Wednesday as he paused steep duties on most other countries. You know, I saw a friend sent me an email from another email from Move On, and they were saying, for God's sakes, he put it on this island of whatever, and the only thing that's there is penguins. How stupid does he have to be? And I'm sitting there going, how stupid are you? People like countries like China, to avoid 125% tariff, will open up shop with the penguins, probably hire penguins to build the shit. They'll build their crap there and sell it. Like they'll trade it just to get out from under the tariff. So and they're like, it's so stupid. Ha ha, look at him. He's an idiot. You know, and they have no clue what's going on. It's like the Dunning-Kruger effect on all those people that support them. The European...
But will they deal with the transgender penguins?
I don't know. I don't know if they will. They probably will, because they're a bunch of left-wingers. But the European Union, Brazil, Mexico, and Thailand have either imposed new tariffs in the last few months or are considering such measures to protect their own industry from Chinese imports. Good. Make the world go against China, because they've been robbing the world. The tsunami is coming for everyone, Catherine Tai, trade representative of former President Joe Biden, told the New York Times. Who gives a shit what she has to say? Over the past 4 years, China has pulled money from housing construction and put it into building factories, with state-controlled banks granting industrial borrowers almost $2 trillion in extra financing, according to new data from China's central bank obtained by the Times. Remember the whole bloodbath nonsense? He said there's going to be a bloodbath. It was a whistle from a dog. Remember all that crap? Well, basically what he was saying was that China wanted to build car manufacturing plants just south of the border in Mexico, and that they wanted to sell those cars to screw our auto workers even more than they got screwed by past presidents. And Trump just came along and said, good, I'll put 100% tariff on every single car, and you won't sell one of them. And what did they do? They backed down. They're not building it. So now they think they're going to get away with this. The rest of the world's going to say, no, screw you. The way you treated us, no. China's building new factories nonstop and outfitting old ones with the latest tech, churning out products from cars to phones to fertilizer at an unprecedented rate, all bound for foreign shores. And they'll probably sit on the docks. The Times reported that China is set to overtake Germany with the world's largest car factory. Chinese car maker BYD is building not one but two plants that are bigger than the current record holder in Wolfsburg, Germany. If I was Germany, I'd say get the hell out. Overall, Chinese exports rose to a whopping 13% in 2023 and 17% in 2024. Exports make up about 20% of the country's GDP. And think about this. It's like, how many of our cars can go into China? Goose egg. I mean, and unless, you got some filthy rich commie guy from the Chi-Com party, right? Yeah, he could afford it, so he'll go through special hoops to get it. But you can't sell our cars there. They're not. They hit us with tariffs that are so large they can afford it, and that's intentionally. And we're supposed to sit back and go, what? So the tariffs. I think the tariffs are going to help us in the long run, especially because it's bringing a shit ton of American manufacturing back to this country to avoid them, and it's going to help lower prices of food because the farms are going to be told sell locally because we're going to tariff the shit out of your food. Sell it all here. You will sell out, right? And demand is not as high as the supply, and what happens? Price goes down. They want the demand to go up. So that's part of his plan anyway. What he really wants is zero tariffs. If you watch that video that I had of the Dubai guy, right, the Sultan, he nailed it. He said, look, Trump just wants people to negotiate. He wants zero tariffs, true free trade. But the rest of the world was like, no, we'd love to make money off the United States because we had a-holes that were in charge in the past that felt that it was almost patriotic to like give other countries to let them screw us over, right? I'm not going to read the rest of this crap. Let me put this back.
Yeah, all of these guys have been sucking at the American tit for far too long.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse the graphic description.
Yeah, that's good, Sheila. I'm cool, man. I was hoping like people aren't getting bored to shit with me talking here because I can run my mouth. Yeah. So let's see. Here we go. The lib nuts are out in force, and we have a poll that says that a report reveals 55% of leftists justify assassinating Donald Trump and Musk at 48%. We were talking earlier that, Musk has to step it up a bit. He's like way behind.
Yeah, he's not pissing them off enough, not nearly enough.
I know. He has, like, how dare he, right? So Steve wrote this. Marxist lefties are proclaiming, let me make it bigger so you guys can see it. The video was of Jimmy, all right, that I was talking about earlier. He's texting me now. It's like, what the hell? You're not going to do it now? I'll show it, Jim, just for you. Marxist lefties are proclaiming that it is morally imperative that someone assassinates the president and Elon Musk. Oh, well, as well. Only a Democrat would consider killing the president moral. A disturbing new report has uncovered a troubling trend, violent political rhetoric from the left, making them domestic terrorists. Democrats, and you know how they say, oh, this white supremacy was, I was watching TV show Next, right? It was about AI and all that. And they were having this crowd of white supremacists outside that were bitching outside this building, the programmers building, right? That were building this thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, that's more white supremacists than there are in the whole country. But we had warm diarrhea brain Joe Biden telling us that white supremacy is the greatest domestic terror threat in the United States. And I'm like, where the hell are they? Like, I would like to meet one of these guys and question them. Like, where do you guys hide? Seriously. I mean, where do they hide? Democrats, the media, and college professors have done their jobs and trained them well. The Network Contagion Research Institute took a poll, and it is truly frightening. Joe Finkelstein, boy, that reminds me of that movie. Finkelstein is so, remember that? But the founder of NCRI told Fox News Digital, what was formerly taboo culturally has become acceptable. We are seeing a clear shift, glorification, increased attempts, and changing norms, all converging into what we define as assassination culture. Can you believe this? It's not just Luigi anymore. We're seeing an expansion. Trump, Musk, and others are now being openly discussed as legitimate targets, often cloaked in meme culture and gamified online dialogue. Now, the Biden people, aren't they the ones that had the meme guy arrested and they threw him in prison? Remember that? It was a guy that put a meme out and said, Democrats should vote on Wednesday and Republicans vote on Tuesday. Remember?
Yeah. He said you could vote early
Online,
by texting your vote to this number.
Yeah, that was it. And they threw him in prison, guys. I mean, think about it.
Did he actually end up in prison? I know
our voters are so stupid that they literally tried to text their vote in.
I know they tried to go against him. Did he actually end up in prison?
Yeah, he did. He went to prison. I think he only did like 4 months, and then he got out. But he went to prison, and I don't know. Did Trump pardon him? He might have. I don't know. But the report says these are not isolated opinions. They are part of a tightly connected belief system linked to what we call left-wing authoritarianism. NCRI conducted a nationally representative survey of more than 1,200 U.S. adults, weighted to reflect national consensus demographics. The findings were stark. Some 38% of respondents said it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Donald Trump, and 31% the same about Elon Musk. When counting only left-leaning respondents, justification for killing Trump rose to 55% and Musk to 48%. When asked whether destroying a Tesla dealership was justified, nearly 4 in 10 respondents agreed it was to some degree. We're living among a bunch of effing sociopaths, violent sociopaths, and we're supposed to be the violent ones. Among self-identified left-of-center participants, libnuts, support for vandalism and property damage was significantly higher. Can you believe this? Finkelstein told Fox News Digital property destruction wasn't just an outlier opinion. It clustered tightly with support for political assassinations and other forms of violence. This points to a coherent belief system, not just isolated grievances. Now, the same fake news media that spent 4 years telling you how MAGA extremists were white supremacists and that we were violent and all because of January 6th, right? They think that all 77 million were violent, and all 77 million voters for Trump were at January 6th, right? So, well, it was 71 million back then. So how much you want to bet that when these studies start really hitting the airwaves and you have congressmen and other people talking about it, right? How much you want to bet those same bootlicking sycophants to the Democrats will say, this is fake news. It's not real. It's a conspiracy theory, right? That's how you know something's real, when a conspiracy. Now, Blue Sky, do you guys know what Blue Sky is? Jay, do you know what Blue Sky is?
I've heard, it's a platform that I think I've never been there, but it's a platform that the leftoids set up, and it was supposed to be neener.
Yeah,
we don't need Twitter.
You're exactly right. That's what it was. Everybody, all the libnuts left Twitter to go. Left X, because Elon allows free speech. That ought to tell you something.
It was still Twitter when they left. He hadn't changed the name yet.
Yeah, but really?
He didn't change the name right away.
When did they leave for Blue Sky? I know Blue Sky was up then, but they didn't really leave because I saw all the same libnuts.
Well,
Hollywood.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing is hardly anybody actually went over there because they all wanted to stay and lurk and troll. So it basically, they said not really much happened over at Blue Sky.
So here you go. Blue Sky, quote, Blue Sky was modeled as a safe alternative to Twitter for the left, But what it's become is an extremist platform. It functions today much like 4chan, right? Anonymous, and then he went to 8chan, or Gab once did for the far-right ideologies. These platforms are now lead indicators of violent real-world trends. Now, they used to say that about Parler. You know, the left used to say that shit about Parler, and that's why they shut them down. PJ Media says the NCRI study links the cultural shift of the December 2024 assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson by Luigi Mangione. And Louis, did I get his name right? He's our resident Italian. In the aftermath, researchers observed a disturbing surge of viral memes glorifying Mangione, which effectively turned him into a folk hero among certain corners of the internet. The left. Because people on the right are like, wait a minute. So you got a complaint about your health care, right? You're going to kill the guy? That's really going to work. As a result, there has been, yeah, but I did it so people would talk. Yeah, they're talking about what a nut you are. As a result, there has been a surge of copycat behavior targeting wealthy and conservative public figures. Exactly. Roughly half the people on the left think that assassinating Donald Trump or Elon Musk is morally justifiable. Of course, we already knew this already. Well, we knew this already. After the first assassination attempt on Trump back in July 2024 at the campaign rally in Butler, PA, many on the left took to social media to lament the fact that the shooter, Thomas Crooks, missed. Yeah, they were angry and he missed. After 8 shots, well, he didn't miss. He hit him in the head, right? While Finkelstein rejects censorship as a solution, he argues that moral clarity from leaders, particularly on the left, could help dismantle this culture. But they love it. These are the shock troops. These kind of lunatics, they're the online Antifa and BLM. That's what they are.
He makes the mistake of assuming that the leaders of the libtards
Right.
want to shut this down. They don't. They want this to keep
Exactly
stirred.
what I'm saying. Yeah, we're on the same page there. Political violence, once fringe, is now dangerously close to becoming culturally acceptable. I think it already is. I think they already made it culturally acceptable. Luigi board. Luigi. That's
Well, you know, our free speech is violence, and their violence is free speech.
That's exactly correct. That's how they think.
You know, so it was okay. It was an January 6th with an insurrection.
Right.
It was a crowd of middle-aged, unarmed and unprepared, middle-aged and older protesters that wandered around, mostly staying out of trouble,
Right.
and got led into the building, and that was the end of the world. But the fact that you burn down cities for 200 days in a row, they're just blowing off a little steam.
That's what that was it. Pet detective. Thanks, Lou, because while I was going through it, I was like, Finkelstein is, and I can't remember the other name. Remember when the woman here, she was a trans, and so the guy had sex with her, and then he starts throwing up, gets a plunger on his face. That was a funny movie, even though I
Never
can't
saw
stand
it.
Finkelstein and Einhorn. That's it. Finkelstein is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkelstein. That was hilarious. Now, guys, you know how they all said because of January 6th that all police officers hate Trump because look what he did to those Capitol police officers, right? Well, I wrote this yesterday. 510, not police, but agencies, 510 police departments are now working with ICE after Trump revives the 287G program. So guess what's making a massive comeback under Trump's America? Nope, not spray tans or gold-plated everything. It's law enforcement teaming up with ICE like it's the hottest collab of the year. Since President Trump took office back in January, nearly 400 law enforcement agencies across the U.S. have decided to buddy up with the Department of Homeland Security. Guys, that's not close to 400 officers. That's police departments. Their goal, handing over criminal illegal aliens to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, because these guys know, and they knew all along throughout the last 4 years, that these criminal illegals are causing real havoc inside their communities. Think of it as the ultimate "you're not welcome here" handshake. According to some spicy data that just dropped via National Immigration Center for Enforcement. Nice. That's nice, isn't it? And yes, that's really what they're called. About 376 law enforcement agencies have signed 287G agreements with ICE since Trump walked into the Oval Office with his signature scowl and red tie combo. That's how the left reported it. So what is the 287G agreement? Basically, it gives local cops a fast pass to work with ICE. So in other words, they're not being deputized, but they're allowed to work with federal agents. They can ID criminal illegal aliens in their jails or prisons and hand them over. Because remember, in the sanctuary cities, they weren't doing it. And you know what? That's going to be a big legal battle for the next thing that we're going to have to deal with. Is that because you're going to have we're having all these left wingers in the blue cities and states that are saying we're not going to help ICE. In fact, we're not going to hand them over to you. You're going to have to wait till they do their sentence. And it's state law. It doesn't matter that it's state law. That state law is unconstitutional because in Article 1, Section 8, which is the enumerated powers of the Constitution, it gives the federal government the power to do immigration, like any kind of immigration, and uniform rule of naturalization is what it says. So when you have these a-holes in the states who say, oh, we're a sanctuary city. No, you're not. You can't be. You're breaking the law. Is what you're doing.
Yeah, but Rich, how can these police agencies support Trump? After all, there were like 5 cops that got killed at January 6th, right?
Yeah, they were killed on January 6th. Remember, and one was smashing the head.
And I mean, it's a terrible thing when 50 police officers are murdered by these crowds, you know?
Yeah,
I can't believe that these officers would join with Trump. I can't believe that they would join with Trump when 500 officers got killed that day.
I heard it was
it's
more
just
like
amazing.
1,000 that day that died. Yeah. Terrible. Judges have ruled that the office of the president must give due process, a birthright reserved for citizens to foreign illegal criminal. Yeah, they're nuts. That's why. And Trump's working on that too.
Yeah,
Kate
the
May,
birthright thing is going to be hard to get past. The birthright thing is going to be hard to get past just because it's so entrenched.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people, like when you have the same thing going on for years, it doesn't make it any more legal. But
it makes it a lot harder to get over. On the other hand, we did see the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which was well entrenched.
Right.
So, yeah, that birthright thing needs to be investigated again.
You missed so much, Pamela B. It's unbelievable. You're going to have to go back and watch the entire thing and send the link out to 10 of your friends.
And then when you do that, go on a different computer with a different operating system and watch it again.
Yep.
With a different account.
There you go. Wildwood Crest and Diamond Beach. Is that where you are?
Yeah, I remember Wildwood.
39 billion cops died on January 6th. Their faces were eaten by the crowd, and they were set on fire. Their pants were stolen, and the crowd wore them and walked around arresting each other, Rich. Oh, my goodness. There you go.
I started something.
I know. Let me see. Guys, I'm with my baby girl. Kate May is great. Yeah, Kate May is actually good.
Yeah, I remember Cape May. I remember Wildwood, New Jersey. I remember Sea Isle City. City. And this is when I'm like
a house there.
This is when I was like 12 years old, and we'd go and they'd have. I thought it was neat. There was a bunch of bridges. You'd go and you'd be like crab fishing right off the bridge.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, they do that down there, especially near. What the hell was the name of it? I can't remember the name of it now. It's a nuclear facility down there, but they fished like a mofu off that thing.
And they get the 3-eyed fish coming up. They get the 3-eyed. They get the 3-eyed fish.
There you go. They got the 3-eyed fish. Let's see what's next. Yeah, here's a good one. There's a judge that has a brain.
Federal judge refuses to block immigration enforcement.
That's exactly what I just pulled up. Yeah. Federal judge sides with Trump in allowing immigration enforcement in houses of worship. And you go, oh my God, the First Amendment. The First Amendment is not being violated. Just because a criminal illegal is being arrested inside a church does not mean that the police are saying you can't pray to that God. They can pray to them all the way to the prison and then to the deportation hearing. And then when they throw them on the other side, let me tell you something. If it was known that illegals voted overwhelmingly Republican, the Democrats would be catapulting them 24/7 over the Rio Grande. We all know this.
But you know what's better? You know what's better than the deportations? I guess there's an industry of reverse coyotes now.
Oh yeah,
There's
oh,
apparently
getting
there's
them
a
back. Yeah, taking them back.
taking them back because if they don't want
45 here, man.
if they don't want to go back to Haiti because they know if we deport them they're going to go back to Haiti, they'll talk to these reverse coyotes and go to somewhere else.
Yeah. So let me move on. There we go. A federal judge on Friday sided with the Trump administration in allowing immigration agents to conduct enforcement operations at houses of worship for now, despite a lawsuit filed by religious groups, all left-wing religious groups, and it's like 90% of them are what is that left-wing church, and then they had like one rabbi and I think a Muslim over the new policy. U.S. District Judge Dabney Friedrich in Washington refused to grant a preliminary injunction to the plaintiffs, more than 24 Christian and Jewish groups representing millions of Americans. She found that the plaintiffs lack standing or the legal right to sue, since only a handful of immigration enforcement actions have been conducted in or around church. They're trying to set a precedent, is what it is. So that all the illegals can go running in. You know, they see a cop coming down the street, they run inside a church and go, you know. That's what they want, or other houses of worship, and that the evidence at this point doesn't show that places of worship are being singled out as special targets. No, it's like they say, think about it. It's like they asked a bank robber, so why do you rob banks? He goes, well, that's where the money is. Why do you go after the church? Well, that's where the illegals are. It's very simple. The plaintiffs are reviewing the decision and assessing their options. Yeah, we remain gravely. They're not just concerned, guys. They're gravely concerned about the impacts of this policy and are committed to protecting foundational rights enshrined in the First Amendment and the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. Illegals have no rights. There's very few rights that illegals have in the United States. They're not a citizen. And that's why these idiots, it's just they'll never get it. The religious group, oh, look at that. The religious groups argued the policy violated the right to practice their religion. How? I could say a prayer right now. I won't, but I could. And I'm practicing my religion. So when they're in the car with the cuffs on, and they could say a couple Hail Marys and an Our Father or two, I mean, think about it. It's not the government creating a law that is saying that you cannot have your religion. And plus, they wouldn't be under that law anyway. They're illegal aliens. Since President Donald Trump took office in January, attendance has declined significantly, with some areas showing double-digit percentage drops. Now, is the AP actually going to argue that the illegals are helping the churches like they ever gave a rat's ass about church attendance, right? The judge, though, found that the groups had not shown their drops were definitively linked to the church policy specifically, as opposed to broader increased actions by immigration and customs enforcement or other agencies. That would make me think, okay, so your numbers went up because illegals thought they were going to be okay inside your church. That's a reason for me to say, go in and get them. That evidence, well, imagine the same thing they thought was going to be a sanctuary turns into a magnet.
Yeah, you know that one of the big sponsors of the immigrants who put out stations with water and arranged for them to get food and sanctuary was the Catholic Charities.
Yeah, well,
why?
Well, that's because they lost their ever-loving minds.
Well, yeah, there is that, but why? Is because the vast majority of Latin America is Catholic.
Yes,
and
the Pope
the
was
Catholic
from Latin
Church,
America.
The Catholic Church welcomes more Catholics.
And the communist Pope Francis, is he still alive, by the way?
I think so.
I know he was in serious trouble there for a while. He was
Yeah, he
hospitalized.
had like pneumonia.
Really
and
bad pneumonia, yeah. But he was a bishop down in Argentina, and I think it was, who was it? It wasn't John Paul II. It was who was the guy that was there? The real conservative guy who was there for like a year, and he said, screw it, I don't want to be here anymore." Was that Bishop, or what was his? Began with a B. The hell was his name?
Benedict.
Yeah, Benedict. Thank you. Pope Benedict was the one that brought him out of obscurity, and then there was a coup. Literally, there was a coup among leftist cardinals to get Francis in there. I read an article about that from who the hell was it that did that? I can't remember.
Rich, you're giving me the impression that the Catholic Church is political.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
I'm
Absolutely.
shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
This is my shocked face.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, and very important, Special K.
I don't even need to talk.
What were you saying about Zildjian symbols? So we
Yeah,
got
like
238.
%.
Now that's some serious shit right there, man. I guess you're gonna have to buy Sabian.
Yeah, that's funny. I want to find out why this damn thing is going there.
Have to buy Sabian. Apparently, Sabian came. I think it was one of the brothers that actually left Zildjian. I'd have to go look it up again. But I think that's so. Sabian is basically Zildjian.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm a guitarist, so I don't know any of that. Fannie Mae.
I have Zildjian symbols. Yep.
Okay, and so we did that story on the cops joining Trump, and so naturally New Jersey had to do their part. So the New Jersey governor, he orders local police to stop working with immigration officials. Okay, Murphy, what a moron. The Democrat governor of New Jersey has ordered the state's police departments to stop cooperating with immigration officials. I think Tom Honan should go charge him. He doesn't have the right to say that. He does not have the right to tell them that. The orders came from New Jersey. Huh?
No, it boggles my mind. It gets worse than that. He's the one that sat on national TV and said that he had a woman in his house that was staying with him, that her immigration status wasn't really where she necessarily wanted it to be.
Yeah, it was questionable. And he's the friggin' governor and he couldn't do something? Unreal. So the orders came from the New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy and New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin, according to New Jersey's Immigrant Trust Directive. Murphy's directive came on the heels of the Trump administration's addition of 27,000 outstanding administrative warrants for removal from the United States, which tells you that's 27,000 that weren't done over 4 years by the Biden administration to the FBI's National Crime Information Center as the administration works to fulfill the president's immigration orders. Quote, these administrative warrant messages appear in NCIC in a method that all members are to note they are not to be broadcast to NCIC hits, Colonel Patrick Callahan of the New Jersey State Police wrote in an internal memo. NJDSP members are not permitted to contact ICE via the phone numbers provided because of an illegal law of the state of New Jersey. They're not allowed to do that. U.S. Attorney, in fact, I believe the Supremacy Clause says that anything that is any power that is given to the federal government inside Article 1, Section 8, anything that is given to the federal government cannot be superseded by a state law. So if immigration was literally given, and it is, it's one of the 18 powers, Article 1, Section 8, if it's given to the federal government, how the hell are these a-holes able to get? I'm surprised Honan didn't even talk about that, because they don't have a legal right to do it. It says they're not permitted. That's at Pritzker from Illinois said the same thing. Well, he won't violate state law. Well, you're violating federal law, a-hole. U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, Alina Habba, pushed back on the directives, though, warning New Jersey officials in a post, let me be clear, executive orders will be followed and enforced in the state of New Jersey. Good for her. I was wondering where the hell she was. Yeah, don't they? Look at this little guy. But don't they look like badasses in that? I'm surprised they don't have like the Gestapo pants, right? Callahan's memo is in keeping with New Jersey's 2018 Immigrant Trust Directive prohibiting state law enforcement agencies from working with federal law enforcement agencies. You can't do that. All right, I've got the point through. I don't need to read the rest. Let me see. What are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, this thing, man. What is this? It says group layout, press shift +3. I don't know what that means. Look like the bad guys from the 1990 Mario Brothers movie. Yeah. So let's see. What's the next one? Senate confirms Trump nominee joint. Oh, yeah. We have a chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And he's not Mark Milley.
Thank God.
And trust me, if Trump picked him. And you know who he is? Trump loved shit Packer pants. Yeah. Trump loved to go around and tell this story where he said, so I met this general. And he said, I said, General, what's your name? He said, Raisin. He said, Raisin? You mean like the little raisin? He said, yes, sir. And he goes, what's your last name? He said, Kane. He looks at him and he goes, your name is Raisin Kane? He goes, yes, sir, it is. And he goes, I want you on my staff. So he said, any general with the name Raisin Kane, well, guess what? He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs now. So here we go. Senate confirms Trump nominee for chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in overnight vote. The Senate confirmed Air Force, Raisin Kane, yeah. The Senate confirmed retired Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Raisin Kane, I love it, to become the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on Friday, filling the position almost 2 months after Trump fired his predecessor. Trump nominated Kane to become the top U.S. military officer in February after abruptly firing General C.Q. Brown Jr., the second black general to serve. Now, why did they got to? He's black. So what? To serve as chairman as part of his administration's campaign to rid the military of leaders who support diversity and equity in the ranks. The Senate confirmed Kane 60-25 in an overnight vote before heading home for a 2-week recess. Kane
that's impressive. I didn't think they could have that much agreement unless it was where to, not even where to go for lunch, for God's sake.
I know they can't agree on lunch. Kane is a decorated F-16 combat pilot who served in leadership in multiple special operations commands in some of the Pentagon's most classified programs and in the CIA. He does not meet the prerequisites for the job set out by the 1986 law, such as being a combatant commander or service chief. But those requirements can be waived by the president if there is a determination that such action is necessary in the national interest. Kane's confirmation in the middle of the night, just before the Senate left town, comes as Republicans have been quickly advancing Trump's nominee. I got to tell you, they are really stepping up. The Rhino senators, they're stepping up for Trump. I think it's because the majority leader is telling them, look, guys, you want to have your assignments and all that, you better do what we're asking. So it quickly advancing Trump's nominees as Democrats have been trying to delay the process and show that they are fighting Trump's policies. Yeah, that's all they can do. So Thune is putting a foot up their ass, set up the early morning vote after Democrats objected to speeding up procedural votes on the nomination. Who gives? Who cares? Right? Still, Kane.
Who cares what Democrats think?
I know. Like, really? Like, do we have to? Still, Kane was confirmed with some bipartisan support at his confirmation hearing earlier this month. Kane said he would be candid in his advice to Trump and vowed to be apolitical. He disputed Trump's story that Kane wore a "Make America Great Again" hat when the two first met. I've never worn any political merchandise. Leave it to Trump. Kane was asked how he would react if ordered to direct the military to do something potentially illegal, and he can't give orders, all right, such as being used against civilians in domestic law enforcement. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has no command structure. Does everybody get that? Like, he doesn't have a command structure. Like, he's just an advisor to the president, right? Now, we had Mark Milley, who also did not have a command structure when he was chairman of the Joint Chiefs. But he had friends over at the Pentagon, and he used them to F with Trump multiple times. Will you stand up and push back? Slocking ass. Senator, I think that's the duty and the job that I have, yes. Yeah, here it is. Real general, not a television general. Yeah. Oh, well, that's that.
You know who else we got in? We got a new Solicitor General confirmed.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
His name is John Sauer.
Is he sour?
That I don't know.
Okay.
But he apparently is a real firebrand and very practical and very good for a conservative side.
Oh, good. Cool. All right, here we go. I love Caroline Leavitt. Let me just go out there and say that. And you can too for just $12. No, I really like her. Because she doesn't take shit from anyone, and she's never done a job like this before. Press Secretary, is it up? Yeah. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has confirmed that her office does not respond to reporters who display their preferred pronouns, God bless her, for being out of touch with reality. The policy stems from the administration's attempt to restore biological reality across the federal government. On January 21, President Trump signed the Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. Try to put that as a headline on any 8.5 by 11 executive order recognizing only two sexes. It also replaced the word gender with sex to reinforce the biological reality. It is quote, it is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female. These sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality. Recently, liberal pronoun-using journalists have complained about receiving cold responses from various federal offices, suggesting that the administration deliberately ignored reporters who embraced gender fluidity. Yes, they did. And guess what? They're allowed to. You're violating the First Amendment. No, you're not. Not at all. You know, a lot of people said that when they booted the AP out, and the AP's like, hey, they violated the First. No, they didn't. There's plenty of other reporters there. They didn't tell you can't keep reporting fake news. They just told you you're not coming into here. And there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the administration has to give a daily briefing. They could kill that tomorrow if they want to. The New York Times reporter,
it's like, well, you don't like me because I'm trans. No, I don't like you because you're an asshole.
Yeah, because you're an asshole. That's the point. Yeah. The New York Times reporter. What was that one I saw? Yeah, it was Bill Cosby when he said that his friend said, well, when you do cocaine, it enhances one's personality. And I said, yes, but what if you're an asshole? That was the best line, even though he really disgraced himself. The New York Times reporter, Michael Grinbaum, claimed that Trump's press office had rejected emails on 3 separate occasions. They didn't get the hint the first 2 times, likely due to the presence of preferred pronouns. The Times also reported that another pronoun-using journalist was snubbed by Katie Miller, senior advisor to Elon Musk-led Department of Government Affairs. Just take the little pin off, and they'll talk to you. As a matter of policy, I don't respond to people who use pronouns in their signatures, as it shows they ignore scientific realities and therefore ignore facts, Miller told the reporter. God bless her. This applies to all reporters who have pronouns in their signature, she added. I mean, you got to think about that, guys. The soft hop is over. The lights came back on, and the parents have re-entered the room when Trump got reelected, right? I mean, we had to sit there for 4 years and listen to that gobbledygook. We used to get strikes for talking about it. When Grinbaum inquired whether this was the White House press office's official policy, Leavitt sent a scathing response, quote, any reporter who chooses to put their preferred pronouns in their bio clearly does not care about biological reality or truth and therefore cannot be trusted to write an honest story.
Nicely,
Love it.
nicely
Absolutely
put.
love it. We don't have to read the rest. That
Nicely
is
put.
awesome. That's awesome because and you know what? The way I say it, they can do and say whatever the hell they want, right? But
I
don't
don't
force
care.
us to.
I don't care. I really
Yeah,
don't care. You can dress the way you want. You can have your hair the way you want. You can call yourself who you want. I don't care. You can sleep with who you want. It doesn't matter to me. And if somebody was born a man and decides to dress and look like a woman, well, if they look enough like a woman, I'll probably call them a woman. But the fact is, they're not a woman. They're a trans woman. That's it. That's where it stops. You're not a woman.
right. Right. Well, we have to watch the guidelines. Here you go, guys. That was Klinger, Streaky.
Yeah.
He was on MASH, TV show MASH. He wasn't a trans. He was trying to get out on a Section 8.
Yeah.
And so he went around dressed like a woman. And
But
everybody
even
knew that he was doing it just to get out, so they never took him up
but
on it.
did you see the episode where the psychiatrist they had? I can't remember who played the part, but they had a very clever psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And he went in, he sat Klinger down. He said, "Okay, okay, oh, no problem." He says, "Here, here's your letter, and because you are a transvestite and a homosexual, and blah blah blah." And Klinger said, "I don't. What's
I'm
all
not
that
any
stuff?
of that.
I'm just
I remember that.
crazy. I just want a Section 8." He says, "I'm just crazy. I'm not all of that stuff."
Yeah, but it would have followed him around
Well, no,
everywhere
but
he went
that's
on his discharge.
yeah, that's what he was getting at. But even deeper than that, he said, "No, I'm not. I'm not all of that stuff.
Right.
I'm just crazy." And so he wouldn't sign it. He could have gotten out.
Yeah, they're all Chris. They're all vying to be the dumbest in Congress.
Now you forgot one, AOC.
I was just going to say AOC, and now Jasmine Crockett is working her way up. She's saying some of the dumbest things I've ever heard. She's running
You know what I
around
want to see? You know what I
way
want to
too
see?
much.
I want to see an AOC and Jasmine Crockett kick ticket in 28. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you wanted to see them Jello wrestling or something like that. But yeah, okay.
Well, that would be fun too.
Yeah, it would. 'Cause I would see some of them get hurt. Well, no, I wouldn't want anybody to get hurt, but have the Jello get into like their eyes and shit.
No, just watch them like wiggling all around each other. It's all in good fun, But yeah, I want to see AOC and Jasmine Crockett ticket in 2028, and I want to see the reason for directions on shampoo. Yeah, that would be AOC, and I want to see how the Republicans say. I want to see J.D. Vance, and who else do I want to see? Maybe Byron Donalds.
Here's another good one about the military. Yeah, Byron Donalds.
What do you think? J.D. Vance and Byron Donalds up against AOC and Jasmine Crockett.
That would be a good ticket. J.D. Vance and Byron Donalds.
But
and
up
JD
against
can do his 8 years, and then Byron can do 8 years. This country would be so rocking it.
we would be getting ourselves back in line, wouldn't we? At that point.
Oh man, yeah. All right, so here's another good one about the military. This ought to make you guys happy.
And then who would Byron Donalds choose? Maybe somebody by then. Yeah, what's his name from Florida? Our Secretary of State.
Rubio. I don't know. I don't know about.
I don't know.
Rubio can't be president, so I don't think they would put him in there. He can't be president.
He was born here, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't. Well, he was born here, but neither of his parents were U.S. citizens when he was born.
Doesn't matter as long as you're a naturally born U.S. citizen.
No. The fact of the matter is he's not a citizen because his parents were not citizens when he was born. They weren't even green card holders at the time.
Yes, but if he was born here, you and I both agree
naturally born citizen.
Yeah, you and I both agree that it shouldn't be this way, but the 14th Amendment up until now has been interpreted that you are a naturally born United States
They interpreted it wrong because they wanted to bring a bunch of illegals in that would always vote Democrat. That's what they did. And all you
Yes,
need to do is go to the
but
Supreme
that
Court and make
means,
that argument, and they would go, yeah, you know what, you're right, because all they would have to do is play the speech from the senator who introduced the damn thing and said, no, it's absolutely not what it means. Hey, what's up, Linda? Good to
yeah,
see you, girl.
but as of this moment, he is a natural born American, and that
I
may
don't know
change
about
because
that.
if he was born on American soil up
So
until now,
his
that is how
parents,
it's been
he was
interpreted.
not subject to the jurisdiction of the
Now,
United States when he was born.
you're not listening to me though.
I am listening to you.
That's how it's been interpreted until we start interpreting it differently.
Well, the
He is a
Trump
natural
administration
born,
already started that wheelhouse.
what's that now?
The Trump administration has already started on that. They're
Yeah,
already going after that, and it's hitting the
and
court.
I hope they do. And I
They
would
will.
say that in that case,
Trump has
you're
already
going to
said,
see.
Jade, Trump has already said that he will not make people who fell under that leave. He said, "We won't make you leave. We will do something to make you a citizen." So in other words, he's trying to say, look, I'm not trying to be a prick. I'm just trying to be legal here. And everybody else, we did this story already, and everybody else is trying to say, like the assholes in the media, they're trying to say, well, how are you going to get around the 14th Amendment? And they're laughing at them, saying, no, we're going to enforce the 14th Amendment. You just don't understand what's in it. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof is the entire reason why they're not citizens. It's and you ever notice that the libnuts never want to mention that? In fact, the only libnut who did was David Pakman, and I did a video on that. He was the only one that mentioned it, but he completely misinterpreted what it meant. But he did mention it, so I give him credit for that.
But at birth, I believe Marco Rubio was provided American citizenship, American birth certificate,
I don't think he
and
was, because his parents were neither of his parents. If one of his parents was even a green card holder, then the Wok case or the Wok Ark case or whatever his name is, the Wong Ark case, that would have fallen in. It would have said, look, they're permanent residents, legal permanent residents. See that word legal, the Democrats throw that out. Well, they were a
yeah,
permanent resident. They were here all their life. Yeah, well, they weren't legal. If they were legally recognized by the
but
United
this
States government, then yes, he would have been, but they weren't. They
but this
weren't.
is the whole concept of anchor babies.
Yeah, exactly. And it's illegal. It's
And
not right. It's not right. It
no,
never
but
was. And age
Rich,
doesn't make
I agree with you that it shouldn't be this way. But the fact is, illegal immigrants come in, have a baby. That baby is provided an American birth certificate and American citizenship. I know, I've seen it. I never did much obstetrics, but you are provided that. And until the correct enforcement of the 14th Amendment comes around, if you were born on American soil, you are an American citizen.
Well, that's what they think, but that's not reality.
What I'm saying is that's how it's been enforced up until the current time.
I understand. Well, it wasn't even enforced because nobody argued it.
Yeah,
Not until
but
now. It wasn't enforced. It was just allowed. It wasn't enforced.
it was allowed. Yeah,
No judge said.
up until now,
In
that's what's
fact,
been allowed.
in fact, that
I agree
in
with
fact, the
you. That's
Wong
not the way
Ark
it
case,
should be.
the Wong Ark case, okay, that reinforces my argument because they said because his parents see the Wong Ark case, guys. What that was a Chinese guy that was born here with his parents, and his parents were legal permanent citizens. Well, the kid had to go. The kid, he was in his 20s. He had to go back to China for something. He had to go there for a family thing, and when he tried to get back in, they wouldn't let him in. They said, "No, you're not a citizen." They go, "No, my parents are allowed to be." So they took it to the court, and the Supreme Court said, "Yes, if you're legally recognized." And they based it on the 14th Amendment. They said, if you're legally recognized to be a permanent citizen here, and what that means is that you're not going to become a U.S. citizen technically, but the government says, look, you have been here long enough. Like there's a whole procedure. It's like being a citizen. I don't know why they just don't go for it. But they say that if you are here for a very long time, you sustain yourself, you have a job, you don't have a criminal record, and you're living here peacefully, you pay your taxes and all that, we're going to give you legal status. And then with legal status, you can then live here and you can apply for citizenship. And his parents were. So the court said that this is not like under the subject of the jurisdiction thereof that is based on other people coming here, foreign potentates and things like that, that are not their parents are not citizens. They said, we will grant this right to them under the 14th Amendment subject to the jurisdiction because his parents, though not citizens, were subject to the jurisdiction because the government gave them legal power to be here. And that's the whole thing. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, every asshole on the left has always argued that this is the way it is, so everybody thinks it is. Well, I think that's going to change. It's going to be an uphill battle.
I agree with you, and I hope it's going to change. But the fact is, you dump a baby here, that baby gets an American birth certificate, and that baby can then apply to have every goddamn family member
well, that's what it
brought
is.
Into the country.
Chain migration, they call it.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem because it wasn't enough that the baby, you say that they're now a citizen, but then the parents have to take care of the baby. I'd say, fine, go back to your home country.
Hey, listen, I'm not arguing that, I think the same way as you. That up until now, up until present day, that baby born here, regardless of the status of the parents.
They thought, yes.
Well, no, this is what's happening. They are obtaining a United States birth certificate as born in the United States. That is what's happening up until the current day.
Make them a citizen is my argument. That's all my argument is. It doesn't look if I lived my entire life and thought that the sky was green, okay, and my entire life I thought the sky was green, and then one day they said, well, no, actually it's blue. Take your glasses off, dumbass. And I look up and I go, oh, wow, it's blue. Well, you know what? My entire life I thought it was green, so it's green. It's just an asinine argument. When you look at the actual, and I'm not talking
that's not the argument.
I'm not saying you're making the argument. What I'm saying is to ignore the argument of the subject to the jurisdiction thereof in the 14th Amendment clause.
It's ridiculous.
To ignore that, which is what they did. Jade, out of all the years that they said, well, this is just how it is, and this is how it's been done. This is how it. Yeah, but at the same time, throughout all those years, they ignored that part of it, which completely negates the entire anchor baby argument. It completely negates it.
Yeah, but up until now, they've been ignoring it, and that's the problem. So, yeah, you dump a baby here, baby gets U.S. citizenship.
There's the answer. Special K got it right. Birth tariff.
Yeah,
that's how we stop them. We put a $12 million.
Hopefully that will change because I would very much like to see the interpretation come down that you need at least one parent legally. I wouldn't mind if it was required that one parent had to be an American citizen. That's what I would like to see.
Well, that's what it should be. This is why I was never a birther, because Barack Obama, I do believe, because his Nana Sarah said it, she admitted it to news reporters the last time they were ever allowed to speak to her, that Barack was born in her living room in Kenya, okay? But I always said his mother was a U.S. citizen. That makes him a citizen. And it wasn't Donald Trump. The left loves to say it was Trump that started the birth. No, it was Hillary Clinton who started it. And all Trump ever said was, look, they're giving him a lot of hell. Why doesn't he just produce the birth certificate and shut him up? Would they make it look like he said, oh, he's a birther, he wasn't born here? And that argument goes along with the idiocy of the 14th Amendment anchor baby are. Well, he wasn't born here, therefore he wasn't. No, it has to do with what? What? Subject to the jurisdiction thereof. His mother was subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. In other words, she wasn't loyal legally to some other country.
She's an American citizen.
She was a citizen. Therefore, she was subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And that's the whole argument that they will lose on. If we have
I would like to see the interpretation changed to one of your parents has to be an American citizen.
Yeah. Nana Sarah, which was his grandmother on his father's side, the communists, right? The press, I saw it. I saw the clip. The press went up to her and said, oh, how do you feel about your grandson might become President of the United States any day now. And she said, "Oh, we were so proud when we heard that, and to think that he was born inside my living room." And they all went, "What?" And then the campaign sent a message out saying, "Don't let her talk to the press ever again." And that's when Nana Sarah shut up and you couldn't hear from her anymore. But even so, I still believe that he was a citizen. He always was, because his mother's
a citizen.
a U.S. citizen. The father, he was a Kenyan, but I think he had legal status here until he ran away and abandoned
But
his son.
if somebody is pregnant, goes to a different country on vacation, and has a baby prematurely, that baby is a U.S. citizen.
Really, Sheila?
So, but yeah, the thing is the interpretation. We need to have somebody come back down. Up until now, that's how it's been. It's not right. I don't believe it. I'm not saying this guy is green, but what it is,
Streaky's drinking again.
I see that. But that's how it's been interpreted. We need to get somebody working onto this and get it
It
done.
was fake. Yeah, it was fake, Jim. It absolutely was fake. In fact, it was not. Let me get this out. When he presented the birth certificate, it was not a birth certificate. It was a Hawaiian certificate of birth, and a complete, total different thing. What that was, you know how in your local paper will say a baby boy named Richard was born today to the parents of yada, yada, yada. It was 6 pounds, 1 ounce, like that kind of shit, and you read that in your local paper. Well, the press used to get that from the certificate of birth announcements. It was not a state-provided birth certificate. And he put that out there as a birth certificate. And as Lou was pointing out right here, it was Dr. Phil Valentine, who is a black guy who is not a Republican, by the way, okay, who completely destroyed the argument of the birth certificate. In fact, he had experts come on. Well, he had experts do a forensic analysis of the document, and they proved beyond a shadow of a doubt it was doctored. Yeah. So, all right, let me do this story. So, Secretary of Defense Hegseth welcomes back service members discharged for refusing the jab with back pay. God bless them. Under Joe
Nice.
Biden, they forced my kid to get it. Under Joe Biden, approximately 8,000 service members were discharged from the military for refusing to take the vaccine. In January 2025, President Trump ordered a full reinstatement to any service member who was expelled from the armed forces due to the vaccine mandate.
Voldemort.
Yeah, there you go.
Just say Voldemort.
Restoring them to their former rank with full pay. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth joined Fox News to discuss efforts to welcome back these service members who were discharged and treated so badly by the Biden administration. Hegseth stated, "We're psyched. This is one of the made promises kept from President Trump. We have followed through at the Defense Department. If you are a person of conscience, a person of faith who believe that you shouldn't have to take an experimental vaccine in order to serve in our military, we will apologize to you. We recognize the wrong that's been done. We will welcome you back with rank and back pay, and we want your service. We started it as quickly as possible. As soon as you can imagine, sometimes these things take a little bit of time to work out. All the letters are out, and the folks who were pushed out, and we welcome them back as quickly and robustly as possible. These are some of our best and brightest. We were kicking out folks with 17 years in, 18 years in, 19 years in, saying, sorry, you won't take the jab, you can't serve. That was an outrage. President Trump got elected and immediately mandated us. We're welcoming, in fact, here at the Office of the Secretary of Defense, I hope to get to meet soon a number of these troops who have lifted that. It's charged the whole environment. You can hold your religious beliefs and that view. You know why he's talking about religious beliefs so much is because the Biden administration declined like 95, probably higher percent of religious arguments to get out of taking it. And in the Air Force, I think they accepted 2, and there were over 1,000 presented. They accepted 2. That's just unreal. So I don't want to play anymore for fear of getting screwed by our overlords. So let me see. What time is it? Got an hour to go. Yes. So we're not no to direct infrastructure. Oh, that's right. No, I'm not getting any. Michelle Obama, rubber eyes in the morning. Why not? Why not, Lou? Tell us. If it's going to be dirty, don't say it, man. So let's see. What's the next one? Oh, yeah. Harley Davidson.
I was just looking at that one.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that one.
Yeah, it's an X. Robbie Starbuck. Big news. Harley Davidson CEO Jochen, whatever, Zeitz. What a name, is officially out as CEO less than a year after I exposed Harley Davidson's woke policies. Yeah, they were another Bud Light, which, believe it or not, guys, Bud Light is back to being the number one beer again in America. I think because they learned their lesson, and I don't know. Anyway, now let me tell you how we got to this moment. After weeks of my reporting, they ended their crazy DEI policies but kept their woke CEO. I warned that not firing the CEO meant doom for the company, and I was right. Loyal riders didn't forgive the board for keeping a CEO who's so deeply out of touch with them. Harley has since reported a 60% year-over-year reduction in motorcycle revenue, and now finally I can tell you that he's no longer going to be the CEO of Harley Davidson. That was a long time coming, but this proves the strength of our movement against wokeness and divisive DEI policies. I want to restore brands in the end, so I'm offering my advice to the board at Harley Davidson, and I'll let you know if they listen. I'm hopeful that if they choose a new path, I'll keep all of you updated on what they do next, but today's a very good day. Yeah, it is. It is, because that was a woke mind virus that attacked our country. The Big Mike. Yeah, it was Big Mike. Let's see the next one. What is the next? Swiss drug maker to invest $23 billion in U.S. facilities. Oh yeah, there we go. The Obamas. We were just talking about Barry. Thank you, Barry. All right, so the Obamas are over, and here's the real reason why. And normally I wouldn't give a crap, but they would be, I think, the first president to get divorced, wouldn't they? Was there any other besides Trump? Probably the first Democrat, anyway.
Yeah, but Trump hasn't gotten divorced since he was first president, though.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. But here we go. You've probably, and this is an interesting story, guys. You've probably seen the divorce rumors swirling around the Obamas. They've been everywhere. And as we've learned, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. The whispers never went away. They only got louder. Now, a new report claims the Obama's marriage is officially over, but the real reason behind the split might surprise you. Barry started liking women. Oh, no, it's not just a personal fallout. It's more than that. Think about it. Obama was supposed, hear this out. This is pretty good. Obama was supposed to be the greatest political force the world had ever seen. He was god-awful. Knocked our race relations back 50 years. The man who would calm the rising seas, a polished poet in a tailored suit who could charm the globe with a wink and a speech. But that's not what happened. Instead of uniting a nation or securing a lasting legacy, Obama left behind a Democratic Party in absolute ruins. I keep telling you that. He spent all the money of the DNC, exposed them to losing all kinds of races. He didn't lead a movement. He nuked his own party, and not intentionally, just for being stupid. The Dems came out of the Obama era weaker, more divided, and utterly leaderless. And that failure, that collapse of the so-called Team Obama brand played a much bigger role in the unraveling of his marriage than anyone might have guessed. Obama has officially become the joke husband Michelle's always made him out to be. And she does when she goes on these Ellen shows and all that crap. The image she projected is now the world's reality. And something tells us that doesn't sit well with her. Michelle, always the sourpuss, probably never had much respect for Barry to begin with, but the idea of him becoming a political legend likely sweetened the deal for her until she actually got in the White House and realized she hated it. And then the resentment kicked in. So now even the fantasy of worldwide domination and glory has crumbled. So what's left to hold it all together? From the Daily Mail, now they just repeat what we just said. Harris was the final nail in Obama's coffin and likely in their marriage as well. The Daily Mail piece goes on. After all, it was Obama's second term that got Donald Trump elected the first time. It was. Further proof of, because they were like, holy crap, this guy's bad. Now we're supposed to go with even worse, Hillary? Further proof of Obama's lowly status, his reported opposition to Kamala Harris as the party's nominee after President Biden was forced to withdraw last year went ignored. No one listened to him. Remember when he went to the White House that one time and everybody fawned all over him and Biden was standing by going, what the hell? I'm only the president. Nobody cares, right, to talk to me. Well, now it's happening to him. And Harris, who, as we all well know, was one of the worst nominees the Dems have ever put forward, was not humbled by a former president's resistance, but rather, according to this new book, openly annoyed. As the hours rolled by and it became clear that Harris was on her way to seizing the nomination by storm, Obama's opposition to her grew more confounding, the author wrote. Harris was very annoyed with him, according to a confidant. They had plenty of donors and political allies in common. Where was Obama? Probably in disbelief that his word was no longer scripture and verse. Exactly. And confused that all his greatness led not only to President Trump, but to this cackling moron getting the nod. The once transformational figure that was Barack Obama, now told to be a good soldier, a mere footman, and get in line. See, Obama had the greatest opportunity, I think, of any president to do so many. He had so much political capital. Why? Because of his skin color. Let's be honest, right? First black president. He could have done so many good things, and he decided to be a progressive president anyway. Then Michelle, the political world's favorite handyman, launched yet another doomed venture, that disastrous podcast with her brother. Did you see that? Holy, I watched that and I'm like, oh my God, who thought this was a great idea? It's so unpopular, she's actually giving her failed husband a run for his has-been money. Many believe the podcast was a strategic move to cash in on the divorce rumors and really stir the pot. But what Michelle didn't realize is that she and Barack are so washed up, most people don't even care if they split or not. Seriously. Actually, it turns out that Michelle is exactly like another woman who resents her husband's success and failures, Meghan Markle. We're not going to go through that. Let's not forget, this is the same woman who produced a Netflix dating show for mature singles. You can't help but wonder, does she want to be a contestant soon? Well, will this latest venture flop like her podcast? Funny you should ask. I didn't. We actually covered that epic disaster when it happened. Michelle Obama has been off the radar for a while. She ditched Barry at the Carter funeral. She did. Skipped Trump's inauguration and fueled even more divorce rumors in the process. People wondered where she disappeared to. Turns out she was busy making a podcast with her brother. The brother most of us didn't even know existed because Michelle keeps her personal life locked up tighter than Fort Knox. But her big return to the spotlight didn't go as planned. Instead of a smash hit, her podcast flopped hard. After hours on YouTube, it barely scraped together 20,000 views. My God. She lost her mojo. Look at that hair. Holy mackerel. Michelle's new look, straight out of the Nairobi used car lot. There's a reason for it. What Michelle is doing isn't just some horrid fashion statement. It's part of a bigger shift that we've seen before. I can't believe people spent this much time to write on this stuff. This is a typical shift toward upper-class Africanism, a trend where elite black celebrities get tired of conforming to so-called white standards of beauty and dress and suddenly swing to the complete opposite extreme. You mean ugly? And what fuels this shift? Pure, unfiltered resentment. So what does Michelle resent? Well, she resents the straight hair, the sexy fitted dresses that hugged her curves, and the feminine grace she had to maintain in order to appeal to mainstream America. At least that's how she likely sees it. Most normal people would just call it taking care of herself and looking presentable. We're not going to read the whole thing. So in other words, yeah, they're getting divorced.
Sounds like it.
Look, I think they can work it out like two men should, right?
You know, I think more would have come out if that was true. But
You're right, Lou.
what I do say is,
I don't think so. I don't think it would have come out if it was true, because then everybody that propped them up as a couple would have been known as lying. It would
yeah,
have,
but
it
the
would have
brother,
killed. It would have killed. Huh?
the brother could have written a book and made millions.
Yeah. Well, the brother was the guy that came in with Barack to the basketball game. I think it was the Lakers game. And they sat down. They had, of course, he's Barry, so he had the front row, the chairs that you sit in, right? And the guy that came in looked exactly like Michelle or Michael, right? But it was a man in a suit, had shaved head, right? And had glasses on. And you just looked and you're like, damn. But he was taller than Michelle would have been, right? And I'm like, damn,
Well, yeah.
are they pulling one here? Because no one knew she had a brother, right? No one talked about she had a brother, so that makes perfect
But
sense
I
to me.
can really see this because it seems to me everything that I saw her, um,
That's correct.
everything I saw about her made me think that she was resentful and really didn't like. But she also enjoyed the power. You know, living in the
Oh
White
yeah,
House is pretty attractive.
oh yeah,
And then okay, all of a sudden we're not living in the White House. Okay, so you're an ex-president and you're going to be like top of the world for the next 20 years,
yeah,
going to give lectures and write books, and all of a sudden none of that's happening.
right. Well, Netflix gave them $1 billion enterprise, where they were doing TV shows, but that flopped so bad. You know why? Because they're really not that creative. They're really not that bright.
But that's my point exactly, is they've got no juice, and I think that she was a little bit hooked on the juice.
You saying Jews or juice?
Juice,
Okay.
juice. Um, so I think she was a little bit hooked on the juice, and when he didn't have it anymore, I think her vision cleared, and she said, "Why am I putting up with this shit?"
Exactly. Well, that's what they wrote.
And
They said
so,
they,
yeah, I believe everything they wrote there.
Oh yeah, so do I. I believe that's what happened. But the only reason why I went through all this, guys, is because they put this. Well, he put this country through so much pain that to see them go through any kind of pain is it doesn't make up for all they did, but it's a good start. You know,
You know, he
I don't wish
was
sadness on anybody, but just I hope they go through hard times, because
he was
they
so divisive for this
oh,
country.
it's unbelievable. What was the first divisive thing he did? Do you remember?
The first,
Yep, the
tell
very
me.
first. It was the Cambridge professor, and he came out. You remember that? There was a Cambridge professor who lived in Cambridge, and he was trying to get in his house. He was locked out of his house. He was a black guy. And the neighborhood called and said, there's a black guy trying to break into the house next door, right? And so the
Yep.
cop came and said, I'm sorry. Like, the cop was the most polite, professional. He said, can I see some ID? And he goes, why? I'm trying to get in my own house. A black man can't own a house. And he's like, sir, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
Just show me
we got a call that somebody was trying to break in the house. And the guy just made a total racial thing out of it, right? So Barack
just show me some idea.
Right.
Show me
So
some
Barack-
ID with this address on it.
Barack gets wind of it, right? Because the guy says, I know President Obama. He goes, I don't care who you know, sir. I'm not leaving until you show me that you own this house. He goes, I'm sorry, that's the job, right? And so Barack goes up and says, when he said in his statement, he said the Cambridge police acted stupidly, right? And so many Americans jumped on that and said, who the hell do you think you are, going against the rule of law and saying that the cop was acted stupidly? We then find out that police officer was the one who trained other cops how to work in black communities. The guy's a white guy, but he was trained to train his officers of how to work with minorities in the community. And they said that everybody loved the guy. So he was doing his job, right? So then they had what they called the beer summit. Do you remember that? Obama was supposed to have a beer with the cop. And from what I heard from insiders that I don't know, but insiders I read, they said the cop didn't want to do it. He said he tried to embarrass me nationally. Why would I want to do that? And his bosses ordered him to do it. So if you saw the pictures and all, he sat there like this the whole time. He wasn't defiant, but he sat here like this. And I don't even know if he drank the beer. But it was all a photo op anyway. That's all it was. So he started. Yeah, I remember Joe the plumber. And people said, he's not even a plumber. Yeah, he was. Richard Jewell, Atlanta. Yep, that's another one. And you know Bob, do you know who the only one was that pointed out, this is bullshit. They have nothing on this guy. They're making him a patsy. Do you know who that was? I'll wait.
Tick, 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 tick.
All right. It was Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity wasn't nationally syndicated yet. He was in Atlanta. He had his show down there. And he's the one that came out. And I think he proved that they got the wrong guy. That they went after Richard Jewell, saying he's the one that had the bomb. And he wasn't. He wasn't at all. And they made up all kinds of crap. And that propelled him to the national spotlight. It wasn't Rush. It was Sean Hannity. And so Sean, he actually, this is the timeline. He got his national syndicated show right out of New York. And it was like, I think it was his first broadcast was on 9/11. Can you imagine? The very first broadcast was on 9/11, the actual 9/11. Yeah. So, memory lane. All right. So Chinese sellers. Oh yeah, this is a great one too. China once again. China. It's China. So here we go. Ready? Chinese sellers on Amazon panic after Trump's tariff bazooka. President Trump, I love this. President Trump announced an increase in tariffs on Chinese imports to 125% on Wednesday afternoon, following the Chinese government's moves to raise tariffs on the U.S. goods to 84%. So far, the Chinese Communist Party has not taken retaliatory. When was this done? This was done yesterday. I think they did yesterday after this came out. Yeah, 9:50.
It's up to 145% now.
Yeah. Well, this was done at 9:50 a.m., so that's why. But it says, okay, these steep tariffs are poised to crush Chinese sellers that have long dominated Amazon's marketplace by flooding the U.S. with cheap junk. Data from Smart Scout, that's another thing that we should be doing. We should be doing memes about all the cheap junk that they sell us, all the Walmart shit that people buy. And I like Walmart, so don't get me wrong, okay? But all the cheap crap that we buy that comes from them, and they think that they're a powerhouse. They're not. Data from Smart Scout shows that most of Amazon sellers are based in China. Can you believe this? Over the years, Chinese sellers have figured out how to cut out intermediaries and use Amazon as a direct-to-consumer marketplace for low-cost goods such as electronics, toys, household items, and fashion accessories. Now the crushing blow of tariffs have sparked turmoil for Chinese sellers. What's that sound? I hear a drill.
No, it's a blender.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Wang Xin, head of the Shenzhen Cross-Border E-Commerce Association, which represents over 3,000 Amazon sellers, told Reuters, this isn't just a tax issue. The entire cost structure gets completely overwhelmed. It'll be very hard for anyone to survive the U.S. market. Well, that's good. That's good, because you shouldn't be in our market anyway if you're going to rob us. Screw that, man.
This is me shedding a tear.
Yeah. I know.
A single tear.
This is my concerned face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got ripped off by a Chinese silver coin company. You want to brag about that, dude? Nah. What'd they do? Louis, tell us. What the hell did they do? That blender sounds like it works on a construction crew. I was going to say it sounded like a drill. It's fine. Don't say anything. But it just sounds like it's a drill. Like,
Now
like
it's a food processor and it's being fed carrots.
okay, cool.
So it's an industrial food processor out there being fed carrots. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Rich, I heard this week for the third time the reference of Trump has been referred to as the new Rodney Dangerfield character in all of his movies. Trump gets no respect, but he wins at the end. I didn't hear that one, but that's pretty good. Someone is remodeling. Yeah, they're remodeling a carrot.
Yeah, the carrots are being seriously remodeled.
Rodney Dangerfield movies, and you think Donald Trump winning in all the movies. That's true. It was nickel-covered lead. Oh, wow. Get out. Oh, man, they robbed you. What's with all the Chinese hate? I'm listening to this stream with 24 of them making cigarettes in my shed. And most are thinking of unsubscribing to you, Rich. I don't think you got 24 Chinese people in your shed that are subscribed to me, brother, but that was funny. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you do have 24 guys in the shed, make sure they each have a YouTube account that have signed on.
Exactly. Yeah, Sheila, this is why I tell everybody, please tell your friends to come in on Fridays because they would have a hoot. That's pretty good. China. I bought through AppMex.
Oh, Chinese callets.
Cowit.
Callets, yes. Streaky said Chinese callets.
That's funny. Yeah, there's unemployment claims for fake people.
You can't get much past our audience, you know.
I know. They're pretty smart.
They take anything and make it hyperbolic.
I thought you were with her. I have no idea. I know she's kicking ass and doing contracts and whatnot. So she's probably working. Oh, you got to leave? You leaving, bro?
You got to go, Bobbity.
Well, there goes the comedy. All right, so here we go. Let me bring this up. So, get this, guys. Elon Musk's Doge discovers millions in taxpayer dollars wasted on unemployment claims for fake people. Seriously. Just like some of the other things that went out. Elon Musk's Department of Doge said Thursday that millions of dollars in unemployment claims have gone to fake people who aren't even born yet. Some not even in this century. Yeah, it was like 2175 or something. It says Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Reamer presented the findings to President Trump at a Thursday afternoon cabinet meeting, saying, "We're working with our Inspector General to return those dollars to the Treasury." Doge claimed an initial review found that since 2020, 9,700 people. Gosh, what happened in 2020? 9,700 people whose birth dates aren't for another 15 years have claimed $69 million in benefits, which are administered by state governments. An initial survey of unemployment insurance claims since 2020 revealed the following. 24.5 thousand people over 115 years old claimed $59 million in benefits.
Wait. Was I supposed to continue working till I'm 115?
I think so. The oldest American ever recorded was a woman at 114.
Yeah, so and there's a nun in Latin America somewhere who's 120.
Yeah. 28,000 people between 1 and 5. Between 1 and 5 claimed $254 million in unemployment benefits. I wonder what job.
Okay. Apparently, we have no basis.
Testing the nipples on the bottles.
Apparently, we have no basis upon which to criticize other countries for child labor. Evidently,
there you go. 9.7 thousand people with birth dates over 15 years in the future claimed $69 million in benefits. In one case, someone had a birthday in 2154, claimed $41,000. I was just going to say it's absurd. In one absurd case, a person whose birthday was listed in 2154 claimed $41,000. That This is so crazy that I had to read it several times before it sank in. Yeah. So in other words, the deep state is stealing from you. That's the only way you can think about it. They're stealing.
Wonder where a lot of that money went.
Yeah. Seriously. It's one thing to have an NGO and get money from USAID and say, hey, we're going to do this. And then you do a little bit of it, but the rest of that money was used to pay you. But these assholes, I mean, you got people that are putting children down, their children, for unemployment benefit. That's just wholesale robbery. That's what that is.
What's this one about what about this colonel relieved of her command? Insubordinate.
Well, because she was woke. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look at that one.
Air Force. Hold on. Oh, come on. Scroll up, Richie. She's a stab overnight vote.
Insubordinate. It's just below the halfway point in the list.
U.S. Space Force. Yeah, I got it. Okay, let me bring it up. Yeah, this woman, she was let go because she's just so damn woke. Insubordinate U.S. Space Force colonel relieved of her command. Colonel Susan Myers of the U.S. Space Force stationed at Pituffik. Let's call it Pituffik Space Base in Greenland was relieved of her command following an email she sent to base personnel. The email criticized Vice President J.D. Vance's visit and expressed concerns that the issues discussed did not reflect the situation at Pituffik. According to official statements, Myers was removed due to a loss of confidence in her ability to lead. The colonel emailed U.S. troops stationed in Greenland opposing Trump's so-called Operation Greenland. She also emailed Greenland, like, to think that you have people in the military that don't understand the strategic move that he's making. It just denies belief in a benevolent being. She also emailed Greenland and Danish civilians who work on the base. Myers undoubtedly knew this would be the result. What she did was direct insubordination, and that's a no-no. She sent a letter that should only go to her direct superior, not personnel and foreign civilians. Sean Parnell, the assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs and chief Pentagon spokesman, said on X, quote, actions to undermine the chain of command or to subvert President Trump's agenda will not be tolerated at the Department of Defense. Now, Kurt Schlichter, who I've read like 6 of his books, they're great. Like he busts liberals left and right. He wrote, this officer, and he's a colonel, right? This officer was relieved of command tonight. This was absolutely necessary and proper. It's a lesson to all officers that their political opinions have zero business influencing the performance of their assigned duties. It would have never occurred to me or my peers to do something like this. And we served under presidents who we did not appreciate politically. Let me tell you something. All these woke DEI crap, do you really think that was part of their assigned duties? Or were they influencing the performance of their assigned duties by doing this woke crap? All right? But we serve the higher duty the United States of America. Thank goodness we have a commander-in-chief and officers appointed below him who recognize their duty and will enforce the standards. That's her.
Well,
it's like, gee, why didn't you get married? Well, I just haven't met the right guy yet. Think about it. That's what she looks like.
Listen, she should be dishonorably discharged.
Yeah, she should.
And
what she did.
Be thankful that she's not charged with treason.
Yeah. Myers. Pituffik of Puffendorshire. That's pretty funny. One of them gay puffins. Okay. I can't even talk to my people, but they still think they can drop lines like sheep turds, and I won't school. I know. Look at all the medals. You got to wonder like how she got those. The same way Kamala got ahead in life. Appeals court clears the way for Trump to restart mass firing. Yeah, probationary workers. Let's see. It's all falling in Trump's lap. Here's one. Let me just do this quickly. So the appeals court clears the way for Trump to restart mass firings of probationary workers. A federal appeals court has cleared the way for Trump administration to resume firing thousands of probationary government employees, lifting a lower court Jacobin judge's order that had blocked most of the mass terminations. A divided 3-judge panel of the Fourth Circuit of Appeals concluded Wednesday that the coalition of Democratic attorneys general who brought the case appeared to lack legal stand. Good. I'm glad they're finally using this standing nonsense on them, on their side. So, in other words, Trump can start firing them, which I never understood. If the president of the United States runs the entire executive branch and he's the head of it, how can he not fire people? Of course he can. Kamala couldn't understand her loss given her career. Blowing away any. Let's see. Would be here's something. The second assassin, the attempted assassin.
The guy on the golf course?
Yeah, Mike Benz's new. Where do you hear this? Mike Benz's new theory about Trump would-be assassin changes everything. He tried to get a nuke. He tried to purchase a Stinger missile, which is what's behind him in the picture, right? He tried to purchase a Stinger missile, so he had that kind of cash, right? The FBI knew about it and let him roam around anyway. They knew the entire plot. Guys, what is going on? The FBI knew he was trying to, and it was military grade Stinger. It wasn't your Walmart or your cheap China made Stinger. You know what I'm saying? We've got some big updates on Ryan Routh, the would-be assassin who allegedly plotted to kill President Trump, and it just got a whole lot darker. And while his shady dealings with Ukraine are disturbing enough, and yes, we'll get into that, the real meat and potatoes of this story comes from Mike Benz, Mike Benz is pretty good. If you can follow him on X, do it. Who just dropped a bombshell that could blow this whole thing wide open. What he believes happened, and what's nearly certain of, is where things take a serious turn. The story is catching fire fast. According to newly released DOJ documents, Ralph didn't just dream about taking Trump out. He actively tried to buy military-grade weapons from Ukraine, of all places, including a shoulder-fired rocket launcher and even anti-aircraft missile. Yes, you read that right. This man likely wanted to blow Trump's plane right out of the sky. Ukrainian officials were this was done by AI. You know how I can tell, guys? Because it says, yes, you read that right. That's an AI tell. And also, but it gets worse. That's an AI tell. Whatever. Ukrainian officials were reportedly aware of what Ralph was trying to do. I still like Revolver. So the question is, did they quietly alert the Biden regime, or did they keep their mouths shut and let it ride? And if so, why? Here's more of the story. Breaking new details about Ryan Routh attempt to purchase RPGs or Stinger missiles from Ukraine in the weeks leading up to the alleged assassination attempt on President Trump last September. Brett Baer was going to do it. So that's just how much.
Breaking tonight, we are learning new information about the attempt on then former President Trump's life while he was playing golf last September. Correspondent Griff Jenkins has the latest developments.
In a motion filed Monday, the government says 1 month prior to Ryan Routh's alleged attempt last September to assassinate President Trump at his Palm Beach golf course, Routh tried to purchase a rocket-propelled grenade or anti-aircraft missile from an associate he believed to be a Ukrainian with access to military weapons. Communicating through an encrypted messaging app, Routh allegedly asked his associate to, quote, send me an RPG or Stinger and I will see what we can do. Trump is not good for Ukraine. He sent the associate an image of Trump's campaign plane, writing, Trump's plane, he gets on and off daily. And the government argues Routh signaled his intent when he wrote, I need equipment so that Trump cannot get elected. The two also discussed.
The shame of it is I don't think he can be executed for that because Trump was just a candidate.
Thomas Crook's attempt on Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania in July 2024, with Routh writing, quote, I wish. The filing does not identify who Ruth was communicating with or whether it was actually a Ukrainian with military connections or anyone he met when he traveled to Ukraine in 2022 in a failed attempt to join a volunteer fighting force. DOJ lawyers also allege Ruth attempted unsuccessfully on multiple occasions to purchase a military-grade .50 caliber rifle, and the motion outlines Ruth's communication with a human smuggler in Mexico regarding an escape plan. In a separate motion filed yesterday, Ruth's attorneys are seeking to dismiss 2 of the 5 total charges against their clients relating to firearms possession, citing Second Amendment rights. This trial is set to begin in September. Meanwhile, Brett, it's been a month since President Trump said in the Oval Office he wants a full accounting of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania from the FBI, but so far, no indication of when we can expect something.
All right, fine. That's enough of that. That's enough.
How about the FBI role in a Capitol riot?
Yeah, there we go.
That might be a good one.
Yeah. Do you want to read that one? I could do a Dr. Jade moment, but
No, it's a video.
Okay.
It's a video.
Yeah, here we go. Hold on. This is pretty good. It says Joe Kent in his confirmation hearing today. I think he got through. Today claimed that Trump's intelligence community is actively investigating the conspiracy theory that the FBI helped direct Trump supporters who attacked the Capitol. Where do you hear the guy testify? Here we go.
And this concerns January 6th. Do you believe that the violence on January 6th was intentionally organized or directed?
Still under investigation. We're looking into whether elements of the government could have enhanced the criminal acuity of some of the rioters that day.
So you've said on Twitter that the FBI and the intelligence community were involved in planning and directing the riot. Is that correct?
Sounds like something I said, yeah.
And what evidence do you have for that claim?
So we've already identified that there were multiple confidential human informants ran by the FBI and other law enforcement agencies that were present in the crowd that day, directing, removing barriers, those types of things. This has been investigated widely. We're continuing to look into it. The intelligence, I would say the FBI and other elements of the law enforcement apparatus attempted to suppress the fact that there was undercover confidential human informants that were
The kid behind him looks completely thrilled.
part of these different groups. We also had intelligence leading up to January 6th that there was going to be violence that day. So that speaks to some degree of intelligence infiltration into some of these groups and organizations.
Who within the FBI?
We're looking into that right now.
Which departments of the FBI?
Probably the Washington field office.
So you believe the Washington field office was involved in the planning of the violence
Yep.
in the building next door on January 6th?
It's being looked into. I mean, look, we had
And who is looking into it?
We are in the intelligence community. Yeah, we're looking into it right now.
And do you believe that the IC conducts actions of this nature?
Yeah, but Bob, he didn't say that. He's saying, probably the Washington office, and the other one with the FBI agents. He legitimately he didn't play that game. He literally said, we're looking into that right now. And then this guy asks him, "Will you provide that for him?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, absolutely." So he's not really.
Against
I would
Americans?
expect it too, but I think he's being all right.
Does the IC, both the FBI and other law enforcement agencies entrapping individuals? If you look at who was running the Washington field office during January 6th, it was Stephen DeAntuono. He was also running the field office in Michigan, where many of the defendants were let go after they were accused of attempting to kidnap the governor, because the vast majority of them were undercover FBI confidential informants. So unfortunately,
in other words, in the Whitmer fake kidnapping, there were more FBI agents that were in the group of supposed kidnappers than there were kidnappers. And one of the FBI agents he put the money up for all the tools that they had to buy, and he drove the car.
this behavior does happen by members of law enforcement and the intelligence community, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we are transparent with the American people.
Mr. Kent, would you be willing to share this evidence of this investigation with this committee?
I look forward to it, Senator.
All right.
There you go. I'm telling you, we're going to find out so much stuff. These people were truly short-run hedonistic. They didn't care. They figured, you know what, we'll care about responsibility and we'll deal with that later because we don't think we're ever going to be out of power. Oh, hold on. No, I'm saying that's what he should answer. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. He should. Wouldn't that have been great? Except I think the senator was a Republican. That's I think so. He was going to, he's going to answer him. So yeah, I hear you though. Yeah, that would have been a great answer. I'm sorry I can't talk about an open. And you know what? I remember when warm diarrhea brain first started his administration. I remember Merrick Garland sent a letter to Congress saying that basically saying, well, we're not going to answer any questions for anything that's an ongoing investigation, and we're going to make every single thing that becomes an issue an ongoing investigation. So in other words, don't even try to drag out. Yeah, don't even try to call us in. And you know what? That should be illegal. I would be like, okay, so let's have a closed hearing where there's nobody hears it. We can do that. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. Why? Everybody in there has a clearance. It's going to be able to go in. Yeah. Thank you for the question. And now I will not say anything and run down the time. That's exactly what they do, Linda. You're right. They argue. That's why you got so many frustrated. Like, who was it? Jim Jordan. He does that a lot. He goes, no. Dispense with the nonsense. I've got no time. And he goes, just answer the question. And he does it a lot because he knows that they're playing that game. So next.
How about the one on Richard Blumenthal? I hate that man.
Oh yeah. Blumenthal.
I don't know him. I don't know him, and I hate him.
I know. Well, he's stolen valor. When I think I put the thing in.
No, but this
stolen
is
valor Democrat. That was me that wrote that headline.
Yeah, but no, this is about the Democrats getting excited about insider trading.
Right.
And if anybody else feels like putting their palm to their forehead.
Well, here's the thing.
My God.
Here's the thing. Democrat senator asked to cough up evidence Trump committed insider trading. He admits there's no receipts yet. That's kind of like Adam Schiff for brains, who said, well, I have seen evidence of Russian collusion in plain sight. Oh, really? Can you show us that? Oh, I can't because it's an ongoing investigation. I just wrote to him yesterday on Twitter when he did another bullshit story. I said, yeah, that's kind of like the evidence in plain sight of Russian collusion that you never came forward with because you lied your ass off. And he did. And yet, California, no offense, Bobby, California was stupid enough to put him in the Senate. So here we go. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal. You know who he reminds me of too? What the hell was his name? Tom Daschle. I've heard about that, and that what is he? How did he used to say? I've heard about that, and that bothers me deeply. And that's what this a-hole's like. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, stolen valor dick, said on Thursday that he didn't possess evidence as of now that President Donald Trump committed insider trading, despite suggesting the possibility that he was guilty of the charge. Trump should sue him. Democratic Senators Adam Schiff of California and Ruben Gallego of Arizona made the allegation in letters sent to the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer, Fox News reported. Blumenthal was asked if he had evidence proving Trump committed insider trading, to which he replied that he didn't, but that there were indications that he might be guilty. See, this is another one of their bullshit things where now he's just saying, well, I don't have the evidence, but there's indications, right? 2 months from now, he'll be saying, yes, we know he's guilty of insider trading, right? Meanwhile, I'll bet he got rich from insider trading, but these sleaze bags exempted themselves from the law.
That's the whole funny part of the whole thing.
Yeah. They exempted themselves. Let me play the video.
There are strong indications of manipulation and insider trading in the volatility and
He's such a scumbag.
Sales that we've seen and the purchases, there are strong indications of impropriety or illegality in market manipulation or
Trump is not even taking a salary, and he's talking about insider trading.
Okay, but
it
what
needs to be investigated.
What insider trading when Trump goes on a public forum, his Truth Social, and he says, "Hey, the market's down. Good time to invest." That's what he said.
Right. That's insider
To
trading.
everybody.
according to Tricky Dick here.
To everybody.
Yeah, that's not insider trading. I mean, anybody. That's like saying, you know, it's raining outside. Anybody could look out the window and go, you know what? It's raining outside. In fact, WMMR, which was the morning zoo, they had, I don't know why, but I found it incredibly funny where they said one morning, they said, oh, we got this new app, the WMMR weather app. What you do is you download the app, you install it, you run the app, then you look out the window and you could tell what the weather is. It works every single time and it's very accurate. And they just went on for like 20 minutes, like praising this new app.
You've heard of the Weather Rock?
No.
The Weather Rock. Okay. Again, very accurate. The Weather Rock. When it's wet, it's raining. When it's white, it's snowing.
He said it pains my heart, points to liver. He did. Go ahead.
So yeah, Weather Rock. I'm going to forget some of it. Let me.
There's a Weather Rock?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weather Rock. So, okay. So if the rock is wet, it's raining. If it's dry, it's sunny. if it has no shadow, it means it's cloudy. If it's white, it means it's snowing. If it's moving, it's very windy. And if the rock is gone, you had a hurricane.
All right, guys. I promised Jimmy from Philly, who's into house, that I would play the first video of Lost Videos. So here we go. We're going to play it right here.
Oh, my fucking God. Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. All right. I'm going to talk about this piece of shit product. You see this fucking pump? Do you know how fucking hard it was to figure out how to open this fucking thing? Look on Google. They got videos. People are like fucking going crazy. 15 fucking minutes fucking around trying to figure out how to open this fucking thing. I sent Suave a message like, fuck you people.
Oh, man.
That's not a great ad for Schwab, especially with Jimmy's hair the way it looks in the video.
Jimmy, that was the greatest video you ever did. And the reason why it was so great, Jade, is because at the end, he went, he like laughed under his breath, knowing that he was going too strong.
Yeah.
That was the best. I saw that the other day. I put it into our lineup queue for the media assets. Oh, man. That was great.
Okay. I want to know why Kamala Harris will be the Democrat nominee in 2028.
Yeah.
Former Democrat campaign operative.
You know why? Because they got no one else.
Yeah, no, I know, but I want to see what he thinks.
Well, it's a woman. So here we go. Former Democrat campaign. Here we go. Discern TV. Oh, it's loading. Skip the ad. Oh, geez. Come on, skip.
Jesse, I have to say, it is so hilarious to me that Jasmine Crockett is saying that DEI is the reason, or sorry, that Jasmine Crockett is saying that the 2024 election is the reason that we need to support DEI, when it was literally the reason that the Democratic Party lost the 2024
Exactly.
election. You know, people may not be saying this publicly, or at least they weren't back in August or July when the whole drama behind Biden and the debate was going down. But behind the scenes, I had insiders calling me, panicking, freaking out, because they knew that Biden was pushed into supporting her because of DEI, and they felt like it was the wrong move, and they were worried that she wouldn't be a good candidate. And lo and behold, now she's trying to say that she just didn't have enough time. Well, if that was the case, why did she spend 60 days not talking to the press? Why didn't she come on your show?
She didn't do any shows. Their first interview was a month later, and it was with Tampon, and they both answered nothing.
Yeah.
What are Democrats saying now about Kamala Harris? Because it looks like she's putting feelers out there for either California or the White House.
I think that there's a segment of Democrats right now that are still behind Kamala, because I think Democrats have this tendency to go along with whose turn is it next, right? They don't actually want the Democratic voters.
I think what it was, though, is they had no one else. And I keep saying this, Kamala had control of the money, all the money, because her name was on the ticket. He bails out. Well, they put that big sheep's hook and yank him off the stage, right? And she had control of the money, and she was the VP.
To pick their own candidates
somehow they would have lost that money if it wasn't her.
They would have had to go to court for it, and there's no way they could have gotten that kind of money up again for somebody new.
And not in that kind of time.
Right. And they were hoping for another, what the hell was his name? Tom, I forget his name, but he was the guy in New Jersey, the senator, that they finally pulled him. He was losing like 80-20. A Republican would have actually become a senator of New Jersey. And they pulled him, and they put in Frank Lautenberg, who was a dinosaur. He's like 2 days younger than dirt. And here he had retired. He was in that seat for like 36 years, and he retired. They brought him out of retirement just for this. And they put him in there, and he won by a landslide. So they were hoping that that's what would happen with Kamala, right? That they pulled Joe out. But see, the reason why it didn't work, because number one, she was a bigger idiot than Joe, and Joe had an excuse. He had warm diarrhea for a brain. I mean, think about it. But she's just as bad an idiot as the rest. So that was it.
Yep. Apparently she's favored, though.
Here she is, Lou. He was asking for you earlier.
Apparently Kamala is favored by Democrats.
Yeah, you know what? Isn't that crazy? I think it's because they have no one else. They have no one else. That's got to piss Hillary off. Right? They have no one else. What's up, Gina? How you doing? Selling houses? She's kicking ass. What's called? Yeah, they have no one else. Their bench is the weakest that we've ever seen. I mean, they have no one else, and so they figure, well, she already went through the process. She knows how to run now, so maybe. I don't see them. I mean, I can't think of anyone that buys into all that woke crap that would have a chance.
Yeah, they're trying to push Cory Booker now.
Yeah, he calls him a rotting bag of oatmeal. That's what he calls him.
Yeah,
but I call him diarrhea, warm diarrhea brain.
Cory Booker, I heard someone call him the Timu Obama.
Yeah, the Timu Obama. That's funny. He looks like the guy from Peel and what is it? Something in Peel. The two black guys that are friggin' hilarious. That are on YouTube. They had their own show and all. They do all these skits. Yeah.
No idea.
Key and Peele. You should look them up. They have some really funny skits. But he looks like one of the guys. I looked at him and went, whoa, wait a minute. Is that Key or is that Peele? You know? Yeah, now he's President Dash. Yeah, that's what I said. Biden, we just call him Dash from now on because he's the dash between 45 and 47. So that's
Well,
why
how does that work for me? I always use a slash between 45 and 47.
when I call him Dash. Well, you could call him Slash.
Well, no, because Slash is the guitarist for
Right.
Guns N' Roses.
Right. Keanu. All right, let's see. Requiring proof of citizenship to vote passed. Mike Benz, we did. China threatens to unleash tsunami. We did that. Oh yeah, there we go. Panama. This is great. Panama told China, "Get the F out of here." Panama and U.S. lock in new security pact for canal as China tensions. There we go. The United States and Panama have officially signed a new defense and security pact aimed at reinforcing control over the Panama Canal, a move that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth claims is critical to pushing back against China's growing grip in the region. Yeah, there were 5 ports, and they owned 2 of them. How do they own them? They threw shit tons of money at them and said, give us a port. Then they threw shit tons more. Give us another port. Pretty soon it would have been 5. And they were charging exorbitant rates only to the U.S. Come on. In a press and Biden allowed that. In a press release posted Wednesday night on X, the Panama Canal Authority confirmed that Panama's Minister for Canal Affairs and Hegseth signed a joint declaration that reaffirms Panamanian sovereignty and outlines new military cooperation. I think what they understood was, okay, so they have an argument, it was like 38,000 Americans died building the damn thing, right? And that they would feel more secure with our security umbrella than with China's, right? China's like this vicious child that wants to get even with people for treating them poorly, right? So we don't need to read any more of that. But they're just basically saying, get the hell out. So I think that's good. So let's see what else. We have 9 minutes. Let's make it good. Who conducts the 2-day pandemic simulation? Yeah, I was thinking, should I read this or not?
No, that's going to be dumb.
Yeah, because my ending was, we are not putting up with this bullshit again. They're trying to do another pandemic on us.
Yeah, but 2 stories above that, the woman who can speak.
Oh yeah, this is interesting, guys. This is a breakthrough. You're going to want to hear this. I'm listening to reason. All right, it says it's happening. A woman who cannot speak now speaks through her brain in real time with her own voice. She's not talking, but no typing, delay, or sounds made. Just neural intent to streaming speech. This isn't prediction, it's embodiment. And here's the whole thing. All right, whatever. So it says a woman with complete paralysis and 0 vocal function just regained the ability to speak at conversational speed. With AI, a brain implant learned to read her intention to speak and synthesized her words in her own voice, live streaming, no delay. Wow.
Play that.
Yeah, I am. I want to see if I can get it out. There we go. Let's watch this. So streaming, is it going to be 2 minutes of this? All right, here we go. Clinical trial participant is severely paralyzed and cannot speak. Her brain activity is decoded into text as she tries to speak the target sentence. Text-to-speech model synthesizes each word one at a time. They're going to block her. I would love to hear. Where's her voice?
I want to see him.
Guys, if that's really her voice, wow. Now, how would we know if she can't talk? Maybe it happened, paralysis happened after she got in an accident or something. But think about that, guys. It's picking up whatever her vocal cords would do, and it's sounding like it. That's crazy. Now she's got to say it.
Can we come up?
Wow.
And thank you, being that
Is that you mean that? Okay, that was wrong.
What do you do to Kim? How about one now?
So far, it sounds like a party in Vegas.
He was good. I wish I could go.
Wow.
I said, come on.
So she's thinking it. That's crazy.
That's next level.
Yeah. Next level shit, man. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. My governor. Unbelievable. Josh Shapiro. Ugh. So, where is it? Here it is. PA governor sues Trump administration over $185 million in education funds. They're saying, well, because the money was already appropriate. Doesn't matter. It's called impoundment. You can say, nah, we're not going to do it. Send it back. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has joined a lawsuit involving 15 other states and the District of Columbia contesting the Trump administration's decision to revoke education funding. The U.S. Department of Education already approved the money for distribution. The lawsuit contends that $183.6 million is owed to 116 Pennsylvania school districts. It's owed to them. Charter schools, intermediate units, and career and technical centers. Another $1.8 million is owed to the Pennsylvania Department of Education. It's our money. Congress and the federal government made a commitment to our students, and school districts across Pennsylvania started construction to make schools safer, delivered supplies to students, and invested to create more opportunity for our kids based on that commitment. Well, what Trump should do is say, okay, let's talk about that. Are you going to stop biological males from competing in female sports? No? Well, then you don't get this money. Now the Trump administration is trying to renege on its commitments to our kids and leave Pennsylvania taxpayers holding the bag. Earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Education gave Pennsylvania a time extension through March 2026 to access the money noted in the lawsuit. But on March 28, Education Secretary Linda McMahon abruptly notified the Pennsylvania Department of Education that the period for accessing the funds had expired. Shapiro, that's not right. I hate to say it. If that's true, the way this was written, the Patch is kind of a left-wing thing, but some of their stories are okay. Shapiro asserted that many Pennsylvania school districts and local agencies, such as intermediate units and charter schools, already have begun spending the money they thought was coming to them. Under the standard process, local districts are reimbursed by the State Department of Education, and U.S. Department of Education then reimburses the state. Let me ask, where in Article 1, Section 8, the enumerated powers, does it say that the federal government is allowed to shift money around for schools? It doesn't. And there's no amendment out there that I know of that says they can. So all this bullshit is unconstitutional to begin with. I hope they keep doing this, and I hope Trump argues based on that argument, because he'll win. And then once he wins that, he can use that argument for the 99% of the other things that the federal government shouldn't be doing. Among the initiatives being impacted is Reading School District. Reading School District was granted over $20 million to replace and install new HVAC systems in its schools. Well, what's going to happen when the Department of Education closes? When Congress finally actually says, yeah, we're going to shut it down. Reading currently is in the middle of those projects, relying on the money that is owed to it by the federal government. Hollidaysburg School District, never even heard of that, is spending its allocation of the funding on electronic locking doors. Scranton School District was supposed to be granted $104,000 to provide homeless students with backpacks, winter clothes, blankets, and hygiene products. I think their problems are bigger than school supplies. Participants in the lawsuit are New York, Arizona, California, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey. Insert left-wing state here. All right. That's crazy. So Shapiro's doing his job. He's trying to get that money back. Think about it.
Are there term limits for governor in Pennsylvania?
Yes. Yeah, same
So
as
he's done.
He should be. No, he was just elected for the first time. He was the attorney general prior to that. The attorney general that did not take a single case in 2020 for election fraud. He refused to even investigate.
He's got one more election in him.
He may not win.
Well, but that was my follow-up question. He's very popular in Pennsylvania.
He's really not. When people find out what he really is, he's a progressive. He's a real flaming progressive. And when they find out that he's that, they don't like him so much. It's just that he's one of those politicians that hides it and knows exactly what to say to the public when they have to. In other words, you don't listen to what he says, you watch what he does. And I think that's what the populist nationalist movement is all about. Don't, like Bongino says it all the time, like, don't like a politician for the person. Like, I love that guy. He wears a cowboy hat. Let's vote for him. No, what is his vote? And this is why I was real bummed out when I saw that Conservative Review stopped keeping track with the votes. They used to do a Liberty score, and every member of Congress, however they voted, they deemed which way voting would be for liberty or against liberty. And they were always correct, because I read them all, and I'm like, yeah, they hit that one on the head. And they would be able to tell you the scores, and all Democrats were like in 1% and 2%. I think it was Mike Lee was like 100%. Ted Cruz was like 98%, that kind of thing. But they stopped doing that. But if they did, I mean, I'm telling you, people, all you have to do is show that again. Like autographing bombs on their way to Ukraine. Yeah.
You know who's pissing me off though is Rand Paul.
Yeah, well, it's because he's libertarian, and I don't think he understands the issue the way he should.
You'd think he would, being libertarian leaning.
Yeah, you would think he would, but he's not. Let me see. What's the last one we'll do?
I was going to say, we've been here. My ass alarm is going off.
Oh, is it really? Okay. China's trade overture snubbed. Oh yeah. The final one is once again is another China one. China. All right. So China's trade overture snubbed. The Australians refused to make common cause, which God bless them. In other words, they reached out to Australians and say, hey, you want to be on the Belt and Road? And they're like, no. Right? There are signs that China is beginning to worry about becoming economically isolated. On Wednesday, Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles announced that China had apparently made some trade overtures to Australia in response to President Trump's smacking hefty tariffs on Chinese goods. Look, let's go to Round Eye and see if that's basically what it was. And they were like, no, thanks. Australia rejected China's offer to work together to combat President Donald Trump's tariffs. Quote, we're not about to make common cause with China, Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles told Sky News, which I love. That one woman on Sky News is awesome. Can't remember her name. That's how awesome she is, but I love her. She's all over YouTube. We are not going to be holding hands with China in respect of any contest that is going on in the world. God bless them. That doesn't strike one as an art of the deal overture or any angling for a better bargain. Let me see. That strikes one as flat out rejection. Exactly. Like I guess they thought because, they're in they're in the neighborhood, so let's hold on. Yeah, we talked about the insider trading thing. That just it doesn't strike of anything smart. Let's see. Last time, where the hell is Jeremiah? I was thinking maybe he's a missionary, I believe. Maybe he went somewhere. and he didn't tell me. Yeah, I haven't seen him in like 3 weeks now. I hope he's all right. Sucked up to the rapture. I don't know about that, but yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. All right, let's do one more so we can get the hell. Zuckerberg on the stand. The trial to break up Facebook starts Monday. Do we want to do that, or let's see, what's the other one I wanted to do? FBI roll. Nope. It's happening. A woman who cannot. Yeah, we did that. Yeah, let's do that one. Facebook. Fake book. Although my site is now hopping. So they did take away the block on me. All right. Zuckerberg on the stand. The trial to break up Zuckerberg starts Monday. The Federal Trade Commission's long-awaited trial to break up Meta begins next week. Mark Zuckerberg will testify on big tech, and big tech on trial will be covering it all. All right. Starting on Monday, the long-awaited antitrust trial to break up Meta's social media trifecta, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, gets underway in a D.C. federal court. As part of Big, we hire reporters to cover key litigation and put daily coverage on our sister site, Big Tech on Trial, which you can. Why are they even telling me this stuff? Our reporter is Big Tech on Trial has reported on 2 earlier trials, both involving Google. Are they even going to talk about this? Okay. It's better to buy than compete. A few years into the history of Facebook, founder Mark Zuckerberg faced a problem. By 2011, Facebook told advertisers that it is now 95% of all social media in the US, but the rise of smartphones and the new applications they were fostering threatened to disrupt Facebook's dominance. Zuckerberg, according to emails cited in the Federal Trade Commission's amended complaint against Meta, laid out Facebook's economic strengths and risks in clear and compelling logic. He explained that there are network effects around social products that make it difficult for others to supplant them without doing something different. Even if Facebook were to build a better photo app than its putative competitor, Instagram, it is harder as long as Instagram keeps running as a product, he wrote. But buying Instagram would buy Facebook time to scale to the point where new products won't get much traction. So I don't understand it all, like why they're trying to break them up. I just know that they did some really shitty things. Like I think they had to pay out one of the largest lawsuit orders around, when the law says that when you shut off an app, any app you have, if it does GPS locating, if it can do geofencing, or it can just tell where you're at, that if you shut the app off, you can no longer use that. You can't do, only when it's on. And Facebook got caught. They were still, when you shut off the app, you could literally do force close, and they in other words, they put code in there that had nothing to do with the app and would still report where you were, what you were doing. And they lied about it for years. I don't want to read all this stuff. The FTC's burden of proof. Yeah, let's just know they're about to be taken down. And that might be why Zuckerberg was kissing up. If you think about it, he was kissing up to Trump leading up to the election, because I think he realized they were going to lose.
Yeah. The thing
Guys, if you haven't already, can you please hit that like button, because it helps us? Sorry.
Yep. We got slackers. We got slackers out there. Come on, guys, hit the like button.
Yeah, that's funny.
Zuckerberg he has no morals and no particular political dedication.
Oh, he stole the app.
He is going to go whichever direction works best for Zuckerberg. And he looks around and he sees that
Jeff, how you doing, man? I didn't see you there.
He looks around and he sees that Trump's got the power now. He's going to go talk to Trump because he doesn't care. Right. He doesn't care.
Well, the one that they all learned a lesson from was Microsoft. Microsoft was hey, what's up, Paka? Good to see you, man. Yeah, Microsoft was they were put on the hot seat by government, and they finally realized why. Because they didn't have any lobbyists that were paying off politicians in DC. You have had 24 likes if you had not disrespected my Chinese shed workers. That's awesome. His other YouTube account. Okay, cool, man. That's pretty funny, Streaky. Yeah, thank those guys for me. Just tell them I said thanks a lot.
All right.
So we're going to call it a night, guys. 3 hours, and her ass is hurting. So
my ass is done.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And this is even
I didn't mean to talk about your ass, Dr. Jade, but
this is in the more comfortable chair. Yeah, I don't want to talk about my ass.
There you go. All right, so let's not. So, all right, guys, I really appreciate it. Should I tell them my news from this week or should I not? Because they're going to be affected. My status on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Maybe next week.
I don't. Yeah, let's think about it. If you got to ask, think about it. We'll talk about it next week.
Thanks, Chris.
He's still going to be around on YouTube, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Listen, everybody have a good weekend.
Watch my videos, please. And if you don't like them, the next one's free. I promise.
Hit the like buttons.
Yeah.
Hit the like button.
Guys. Thank you, guys. You guys could be anywhere on a Friday night, but you choose to come here. We love that, man. Twice now, teasers.
You guys are great. Come back next week. Come back next week and get 2 friends with different accounts.
Yeah, please.
And have them sign up.
Tell your friends to come and tell them, look, you're going to have a blast because we laugh our asses off here while we do news. All right, guys. Thank you very much. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you in the next one. See you guys.